You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
That's right, Moto fans. It's episode 187 of the AlwaysMoto show, proudly presented to you by TechnicMotorsport.com, Duramoose.com.au and Yamaha Motor Australia. I'm your host, David Hogan, the Australian physiotherapist who knows the injuries and fitness needs of our sport of motocross and supercross. And we've got another big show coming to you this week. We have our Toowoomba Pro MX review show basically going on tonight. We're going to talk all things AusProMX. Of course, we're going to have our special guest this week as well. We've got the overall winner from MX2 at Toowoomba on the weekend. Kingsford is going to join us, so looking forward to that later in the show. He'll be here in about half an hour or so, make sure you're here when it comes on. And of course, our co-host again this week. He's come back. He's a sucker for punishment. I don't know what I've done, but he's come back around again, which is awesome. It's a Kawasaki privateer legend, movie star. He's a coach to the future stars, mountain bike extraordinaire Elijah Wiese. He's going to join us as well. We'll get him on here shortly. And of course, the contractor, Ben Grinley, is not here again. I don't know what's going on. Actually, I do know what's going on. That's a lie. Benny is recovered from his sickness from last week, but he's being the gentleman this week. He's got to do some partner duties because happy birthday to the Mrs. AlwaysMoto contractor, Ellie. Happy birthday. We understand it's, I can't remember if it's today or tomorrow, but it's basically around right now. He's apparently taken you out for dinner. Hopefully he's done a good job looking after you tonight. So we will excuse the contractor for this week. He should be back on our next show. So happy birthday, Ellie. All right. Don't forget of all the other sponsors that support our show. Obviously, we mentioned Technic Motorsport for your suspension needs. Duramoose, so you don't get a flat out on the track. We've got that code. You people out there need to use that code to get yourself some Duramoose so you don't get flat out on the track or trail. Obviously, Yamaha, if you're riding a bike, unless it's Elijah, he can get away with the Cowie. But if everybody else, go for the Yamaha. Pivot pegs, Tech 167 3D printing. If you need something cool for your bike, sorted out printed-wise, in that 3D printing-wise, check out Tech 167. They've got all sorts of things for the workshop, for your bike. Those threaded funnels so you can't spill any of those oil changes are very handy. So check them out. And of course, we want you to join our AlwaysMoto YouTube community. So check out our YouTube page to do that. You get a small monthly fee. It helps support us. But you can also support us by buying one of these t-shirts that I got on. It's our AlwaysMoto shirt, $25 plus postage and handling, and we'll get it to you. You just need to email info@alwaysmoto.com. Put t-shirt order in the subject line, and we'll sort out getting that to you via the payment details. All right, enough with this talk. Let's bring in Elijah. How we doing, mate? We're on here, ready to go. How is your week been since, it's been 2 weeks since we talked last, mate. How's things?
2 weeks, mate. It feels like a lifetime. You don't have to ask me twice to talk moto again. So happy to be here again. I love it. I've busy week so far. Busy last couple of weeks. I've literally just walked in the door from being at the track again, coaching. Living the dream. Really living the dream.
Do you coach at the same place every Tuesday?
Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm at the same track. The South Coast Motocross Club, which is Murray Bridge.
Yep.
They are an awesome community down there. They let me have a bit of access to the track. So Tuesdays and Thursdays we're down there with the crew, and we've had some rain recently, so track has been prime time. It's been great. I even want to get out my own bike here shortly.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're meant to do, right? Like, you're meant to be encouraged by the track conditions to go, yeah, it's cool. Not what potentially this weekend might be in at least New South Wales with the rain that's supposedly on the way and maybe happening right now. So if our stream's a little bit, that's probably why. But it's meant to be good conditions that entice you to bring your own stuff out, mate. You don't take it out. You just stand there and point fingers.
No, it's actually funny. I rode on the weekend on Sunday at another Clare Motorcycle Club, and track was all time in the morning, prime, mint, like tacky as. I was loving it. Rain comes in, and I was like, nah, well, I'm done for the day. My bike was still pretty clean. I'm like, I'm done for the day. And then one of the little 50 kids that I coach, little Finley, comes up to me and goes, and his parents say, he wants to have a go on the big track. Can you take him around for a lap? And I was like,
gotta watch the bike now.
Yeah, I looked at my bike and I looked at them and I said, honestly, I wasn't going to go back out, but I kind of have to now. So we got a lap in with little Finley, and then I was like, well, my bike's muddy now, let's moto in the mud. So I actually did some mud motos, so that's pretty rare for me.
Nice. Well, you can train your own skills there. But yeah, look, you just got coach of the day of the week nominated. So yeah, well done. I'm sure they're coming back for more too because of that too.
Yeah, I hope so. I really, you tell these kids what to do, but sometimes you just got to lead by example, you know what I mean? So, but I did actually enjoy some mud motos. I hadn't done it in a while, so it was actually quite enjoyable. Yeah,
supercross life for you, mate. There's no such thing as a muddy track, right?
I know. There was no roof over the track.
Yeah.
It was all outside. It was all dirty. I don't know, mate.
The elements.
Luckily, the cowies love the mud. It's nice and clean now, so it was good fun.
Yeah, nice. Well, let's get into our general talk about Toowoomba on the weekend. This is going to be brought to you by Yamaha Motor Australia and that WR250F. Why don't you join the Blue Crew? So Toowoomba, round 4, championships deep. We're halfway now. We're 8-round series. We're at the halfway point. Next one up is going to be Appin, but Toowoomba on the weekend. Let's grab your thoughts, Elijah, on the track first. I talked about this sort of at the end of our last segment when we were talking about the last week's round at the Gilman and even the ones before that being Canberra. And I'm just blanking. Wonthaggi, I was blanking on the previous round. About the Australian tracks being a little bit meh in terms of like elevation and viewing and just general aspects of them. Watching Toowoomba on the weekend, there was a lot of comments that the riders seemed to be enjoying the track. I don't know if that was so much the morning because it looked kind of wet and slick. Maybe a little bit too slick, particularly that first corner. And then that first straightaway after turn 1 was a bit of a mozzle, let's say, in terms of like a boggy, just ruts and whatnot. But it seemed like that was nominated as like almost the best round of the series in that aspect. Now, I'm not commenting on anything other than the track conditions at this point because I've never actually been to Toowoomba. It's one of the few tracks that I haven't been to around the world, around the country. So what are your thoughts on what you saw from the weekend in terms of Toowoomba?
Yeah, so Toowoomba's iconic. Obviously, it's a pretty epic layout and, area and, just the whole facility is pretty cool. But I saw some videos early on in the day and I kind of just shook my head, hand to my face and said, what have they done? They've done it again. They've done the old track looks mint on Saturday, over-prepped, over-watered Saturday night, track's horrible Sunday morning. And it was horrible Sunday morning. And then it obviously come around and you could see with the video or with the footage, there was just ruts everywhere.
Yeah.
I think it did come around, but I think it was probably, by the time it came around, it was too late. I don't know. It didn't look good in the morning at all. And I was like, far out, we've done it again. Why can't we just get this track prep right for the start? But then hearing some of the riders' comments saying that it was one of the better tracks that we've had of the year, they really rated the way that it raced, towards the end of the day. So, I don't know, it was kind of like two completely separate days, really, in one day, sort of track-wise.
Yeah, I think those poor 85 kids got like the rough end of the deal as well. Like their race looked terrible in terms of just the conditions that they're having to battle through, and obviously smaller wheels, smaller bodies, less weight on those things to keep them in a straight line, less power to get through some of those sections as well. Just made for a bit of a terrible race for them. It wasn't like horrid, but it wasn't probably an enjoyable thing for them too much. So that one looked bad. But that halfway point, basically when the main coverage on SBS and Stan kicked in, I think is when the track started to turn into something that was what they all then started saying was best track of the year so far and potentially for the season. So I don't know what they did at that halfway point, but whether it was just purely the water soaked in far enough, I don't know. But it was odd.
Yeah, that place is very I don't know. It's hard. It'd be a hard soil to get right because if you don't prep it enough, it just goes rock hard, concrete, no lines. Or if you prep it too much, then you kind of see what happens in the early stages of Sunday. So I think you got to obviously have it wet enough to last throughout the day, but I think maybe it was a little overdone, maybe just a little bit, because then you sort of saw that throughout the day. The racing was, decent, but it was pretty follow the leader, or there wasn't too much going on as far as that. Like, it was pretty slot car racing, really.
There was a couple of lines, right, that developed across the day, but there was sort of a very much an outer rim line in terms of the outside edge at times on some of those corners, and then there was a very inner line, and then it wasn't until, like we said, those Moto 2 points where the second and third line out from the inside started to show and have an ability. And then obviously we get to like the MX1 side of things, and Jed Beaton was just creating his own lines, it seemed. So he just seemed to be on a different level at that place, obviously in his wheelhouse for his skill set, and just being able to turn across ruts and, come inside of everything at some points on the exits and vice versa for into to out of. And he made the track look different. But the prep and those lines, very inner, very outer. And I just think of that Seth Birchall line that was running in Moto 1 around turn 1 and just all the way around the lip and then stayed all the way on that edge, all the way to the next right up the hill sort of thing. Like, he didn't come inner of that until probably 3/4 of the way through that moto. So, Yeah.
I mean, and we kind of saw the same thing at Canberra. And I know firsthand, obviously, because I was on the track at Canberra. It was very overdone. And then it does create that inside outside line. The middle doesn't get used. It kind of stays sloppy all day. Eventually it comes around a little bit, but then you kind of got that inside outside line, and we sort of saw the same thing at Toowoomba. Now, I've done a bit of track work in my time, and I know from experience that like straights and whatnot don't have to necessarily be ripped to the middle of the earth, right? It's the corner. It's the corners that we need. It's the corners that we need the lines at, and we. Toowoomba and same with Canberra was just straight line or ruts, just all the way from corner to the next corner to the next corner. So it does create that sort of, you can't really dice it up racing. And we saw at Gilman where the track was a little bit firmer than what it has been in years past, and it was very close racing wise. I think Toowoomba was the other side, and it was so gnarly that the racing was close as well. There was a limit to the track. So the racing was close because it was so gnarly. So it turned out good in the end, but it didn't look great early on.
No. Yeah, I think we can keep that early part. And I'm sure a couple of the parents for the 85 class were cursing the amount of mud they have to clean off between their runs. So anyway. But MX1, let's start there. Obviously, we've got our guest coming in later on. We might be hopefully to MX2 by that point with his class. But MX1, I've just written down in my notes here, beaten. Like, the guy at the moment is a step ahead, and I think that's coupled with the fact that my next note was Webster seems to have lost the luck in the championship at the moment for this season, at least, because he's gone down a couple of times in turn ones. He's had some issues, and obviously the DNF in the Moto 1 there at Toowoomba from a turn 1 crash, causing some bike damage, and he tried to keep going, but it just didn't seem to work out. I don't know where he even ended up fully at the end of that, or how much he ended up riding, but yeah, it just seems like Beaton's on one, got the luck flowing, Webster's lost it and inconsistently going the wrong direction.
Definitely Beaton. I mean, Beaton has been, even though he didn't get the championship last year, we know he probably was the better rider. And then this year, he obviously, like we said last week or last show, that he's making a point of that and he wants to, and he said that. So, he just looked. I watched them very closely in the second moto. Obviously, Kyle had the DNF in the first one. I watched them very closely in that second one, and I just wanted to see, and watch Jed and then hone in on Kyle the next lap and just go. Obviously, Jed's got that speed on him, but I feel like his bike looks a lot better, as in his setup looks a lot more stable. Kyle looks like he's fighting a little bit to run that pace and looks like he's having to push a little bit more to run that pace. And I think that's the difference, right? Like, Jed is just so solid right now on that bike and that setup. and Kyle just looks like he's scrambling a little bit to be at that pace, and whether the bike setup's not quite there to go with it, that's just what I sort of picked up on a little bit.
Yeah, funny you say that, because like I watch Kyle and I think the bike isn't right there, but he's been on that same team and similar bike. Obviously, there's different generations stuff. I wonder where it's gone astray this season, because he looks the most uncomfortable on this year than he has for the last 3 or so with that team. And I thought, what did they do or haven't done to this bike that is causing that uncomfortable look? Or at least he might feel comfortable, but he looks from a perspective, from an optic thing from us watching on, it doesn't look that comfortable. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I think also too, it's maybe been a thing of Jed has been on the other side of it, right? As in, he hasn't been comfy or super comfy, and he's just been building and stacking every year to a point now where he's so dialed that Kyle's setup that got the job done is now not quite getting the job done. And then now it's hard when you get in that situation, because you start spiraling, you start going, well, let's try this, and and then it's sort of too late in the season to actually change it. And now, 40-point lead or whatever it is, it's, at least now with a 40-point lead, I guess they've got nothing to lose. So maybe they might start making gains with the bike. You never know.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like, because you would assume too on the other side that Beaton's going to probably leave things the same and just keep it consistent throughout and try to just potentially manage this. Unless if he's got a massive lead in the race, yeah, sure, he's going to go for it. But if he's not winning the race and he's working through traffic or something, he probably doesn't have to. You can just think, let's accumulate points but keep the bike basically the same, because it's obviously worked through the first half of the season. But yeah, Webster's side, throw the kitchen sink at it if you want, and see if you come up with something brand new and even better than you've already got. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what they do moving on. Obviously the next round, as much as it doesn't have the elevation, I would say that it's a similar sort of clayey, slippery dirt at Appin. It's not bright red as in like the Toowoomba sort of stuff is, but it'll be that clay slick sort of feel. So yeah, see what they do, whether they come up with something different for that. But next one on the list to chat about, got to be impressed with Nathan Crawford. Privateer Honda starting to come around, maybe making that move that he did earlier in the season pay off here at this point. Like, he looked really good at the end of that Moto 2.
Yeah, and that's actually another one I was interested to see, the Honda of Nato Crawford compared to the Honda of Kyle Webster, right? And I actually did think that Nato's bike looked better in those conditions. And yes, Nato's maybe was, riding a little better or a bit more comfortable.
He's a bit taller size-wise and stuff too, so the setups are different compared to Webster's.
Yeah, but just looking at the balance of it, it did look a little more planted to me than what Kyle's bike was. But going back to Nato making that move, right, like, this is kind of what he has to do. That you can't make this move and give up a whole lot of money for probably not much money right now and not put in these results, right? So, yes, it's awesome to see that he's back to where he believes he can be, but he kind of has to do this, right? Because if he didn't do this, imagine what people would be saying. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's, but very solid riding, and also late into the motos as well, he had pace.
Yeah, which that's encouraging, because one, it shows that he's fully fit and did, like, that side of things, physically prepared and ready, and the bike is coming around to that too in terms of this round and letting him show that. So yeah, pretty stoked to see that. I'd be curious to see if it then continues to build and if he gets a better start at subsequent rounds, if he can then be in the battle for first and second, like he has, in last season basically was where it all sort of kicked in for him. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. Aaron Tanti, the other CDR mounted man, had a very good Moto 1, didn't quite get the start for Moto 2, but was still right there in terms of pace and positioning. Just misses out on the overall podium, I think, was it? He got fourth, wasn't it, overall, if I remember correctly, or did he hit third in the end? Anyway.
Nah, he did get third.
Third in the end. Yeah. So, but he went 2-4, that's right. But yeah, Tanti is actually coming back around too in terms of his motocross results, which obviously have been inconsistent from the fact of injuries, and he went away from the series to go and chase the American Dream and ended up with other injuries and whatnot. So kind of liking the fact that Tanti's looking like a bit more like his old self here and potentially going to get in and battle with the two of Webster and Beaton, because in this MX1 class for a little while it's just been two guys really.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I was going to say the same thing. It's been Kyle and Jed for, a couple of years now.
Yeah.
So it is good to see, like, Tanny's getting back to speed. We all know he's had speed, but it's just a thing of getting back there, right? And then doing it consistently, which he has slowly been building this season. And then like Nato getting in the mix as well. So it's cool to see these other, third, fourth, fifth guys getting in the mix with Kyle and Jed, because, you don't just want to see the same two dudes out front. Even though it has still been Jed out front, it has been closer than what it probably has been in previous years. So, yeah, I'm stoked for Aaron. Like, obviously, he's been through a lot, and to keep grinding it out, and Dakar obviously to give him another shot. He's proven what he's a former MX champion, so he's sort of coming back to form now, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to see, and I know that they both got signed, like as in Jed and Aaron, last year when we did the YZ 450 intro at the end of last year. They announced that they just signed those two guys for 2-year deals, so they're only partway into those deals. So at this stage, I'd be calling up Craig and saying, hey, do you want to extend that at all? I'm doing pretty good right now. you know.
Yeah, especially here in Oz, you want to secure another year or two at least while you can, and while you on form, right? It is those. I mean, like I said, those Yamahas, those CDRs, they seem to have them pretty dialed in at the moment, which is good for the team.
Yeah, I know that the sore point, like the motocross, obviously they've been beaten out with Webster, but they've been in that battle. But I know the sore points, the supercross side of things for the CDR team. It's been quite a while since they've been in that battle and actually secured a championship there. I think, if I remember correctly, because I brought this up to Dakar at round 1 press day, and I think it was like... It was reared back in like 2015 or something like that. It's a while back. Like it was 10 or 15 years or something since they'd got one. So anyway, it's a while. So that's the sore point. See if you can sort that one out. That's later down, a couple months down the track.
Yeah. Let's not get too excited. You get me excited to go ride some supercross already. So.
Hey, you're already posting whoop videos. I saw that today, mate. You're already getting excited. So
I am getting excited. I looked at the track on the weekend and I was sitting there sort of like going, I reckon it's probably rideable. I reckon let's go have a few laps. So,
geez, it's gonna be a long prep run for you. So it's good. But
that's good. I need it.
Yeah. All right. Double duty man, Reese Budd. We talked about this last show, whether he hinted at doing this when I talked to him on the podium at Dubbo for the state titles. He did it. We weren't sure if it was going to be this round, but he did it, I gather, because obviously it's a bit closer to home for him. Probably a bit easier. He was probably sleeping in his own bed maybe the night before. So all those things can help you sort of prepare a bit easier. Whether he keeps doing it, I don't know if he should do the double duties, but I definitely think you should just stick to 450. I don't know about you, but that's my position. I think you should just stay there.
Yeah, dude. Like 100%. I think he made comment that obviously his style doesn't. I know we hear a lot of guys say this. Oh, my style suits 450 better. Like a lot of dudes say that, but he honestly is not an overrider, right? And I feel like you've got to be an overrider, very aggressive on a 250 to make it work, and he doesn't ride like that. So 450, use the power, and by the sounds of it sounds like he doesn't even really have his own setup in that 450. From what I know of that 450,
particularly what he was riding at the state titles, it was literally the team owner's bike that was stock standard, and he was just jumping on and going for it just to run extra class and get the extra laps in. And so I gather it's the same thing, just potentially a couple of little tweaks to it, because it sounded like in some interviews and stuff, the rear shock was dead stock, and maybe he's got a fork set up for it, but that's about it from what I understand. So not bad if that's the case, right? Very impressive. And also on a fitness level, even more impressive. Like when you've got a 250 moto 25+1 and then straight into a 450 moto 25+1, like there's like nearly an hour of all
you know, and I don't question. Like, I know him quite well. He works very hard. It just has been a little bit of a struggle. His results haven't necessarily shown the work that he does put in on the 250. So it's really cool to see that, you know, do that, you know, put that result in on a 450. Everyone's kind of like, oh, well, like, yeah, he's got everything it sort of takes. He's just needs to find that sweet spot really with the bike, I guess.
Yeah, no, look, I was really impressed, one, that he did it, two, the results that he got across both classes, because there wasn't like a dip one moto or anything, like they were consistent.
Yeah.
If anything, his last moto was one of his, you know, it was pretty solid too, like maybe his best. So that was cool. I messaged him and said, hey, did you sleep in on Monday morning? He goes, I got a young kid, no such thing as a sleep in. I'm like, oh yeah, sucks to be you. So there's no rest for him at all. And he's keen. He's got to get his entry in. He's coming down to the New South Wales state titles again this weekend to do double duty again. So he's sucker for punishment, but it was pretty impressive. And I think he should just stay in the 450 class. So
yeah, I mean, I agree too. But I mean, some guys are like that though. They get better with more riding, more on track. You know, they just sort of loosen up as the day goes on. Whether 2 classes is probably a bit excessive, but like, you know, like he might just be that rider that gets better as he spends more time on the track.
He might need it, yeah. And actually, just going back to this conversation from last show as well, because we talked about the fact that whether somebody else had done it, and I think, and who I'm going to bring up in a sec, Luke Zielinski, his dad was on the chat saying that I thought it was Bailey, or you might have said it was Bailey, and that it was possible to be done.
Yeah.
I checked in with Bailey Malkowitz afterwards. He got back to me the next day, and he said, yeah, he did do it. But he did it one round, he was going to do it the next round, and all he did was make it through practice because he ate it and didn't end up making it through the rest of the day. So he got one practice in and that was the end of it. So he never tried it again.
That doesn't sound like Bailey ending up on his head. What does he do?
It doesn't sound like, it sounds like most people at some point, right? Like best laid plans in Moto never really get there.
Yeah, I've got so many plans, but I just always end up on my head. So, no, I don't envy him. That's for sure. Trying to do the double, but I guess it's a good way to just find out where you're at on the 450, and it might make his future decision a little bit clearer. That's for sure. Yeah,
I've said for a while he should be doing it already. He hasn't for whatever reason. I think next year he definitely just should put in a one full 450 go, whether it's privateered life or whether somebody offers him something to do it on the 450. Just go for it. Do it once and just know that you tried, you know, like if you are at that point where maybe funds and stuff are getting tight and you can't do it for too long forever anymore, well, have one crack at it, because I think he'd be a little bit disappointed if he didn't, because you'd never know what he potentially could have done. So that's exactly right. I kind of look at Wiese too. Like you look at someone like Zach Watson or Luke Zielinski, or you know, Zach Watson has now obviously got a factory ride because he's been running in around that top 5, top 6 mark for the last couple of years. Wiese has now just sort of gone and done that nearly on his debut on a 450. Yeah.
You know, what's to say he has a full year on it, he could be that top 5 guy, and then he gets a ride. So, yeah, I think he needs to just make the step full time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, it'd be interesting to see what... I think the one that he's going to first have to question himself is what he's doing is when Supercross rolls around. Does he roll the 250 out, or does he roll out the 450 and just bite it off and see if he can chew?
He can stay.
You need that one's qualifying position, right? You need that one more gate opened.
Yeah. He can stay in 250 class, and then we bring back...
I take back everything I said.
Nah.
All right, last one for the MX1. I wanted to bring up Luke Zielinski. We've mentioned his name a couple of times already, but this is for his results and his riding. He was in the top 5 at one point in Moto 1, I think it was. Ended up with like 6 or 6-8 for 7th, I think it was overall. Dude is riding really good. The best of the rest in terms of like the privateer level next down. He doesn't have the ride. He doesn't have the support. We've had him on the show before, just before the season started, and he's saying he's doing all this off his own back. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to afford to drive the Gilman because of the fuel prices. You know, he's doing this stuff and he's putting in these results. I think the only negative for him in terms of getting more support is just potentially the distance he is back from that 5th place in terms of where those factory bikes start potentially. it's just a little bit. If he can eat into that gap and make that a bit tighter, I dare say they would then, there'd be more opportunity knocking for him. But outside of that, he's doing everything possibly could be, I reckon.
Yeah, Luke, he's a beast at the moment. Like, he's had some really good results before, but on the odd occasion. But he's just like consistently been there most of this season, and that's what obviously teams want to see you be up there, but then they want to see you not be a fluke and do it all the time. And he is, right. He's doing that. So I sort of looked at, I think it was Super Pole times, and like you said, there is that bit of a gap. There's that 4 to 5 the lap gap from sort of where he is to the top guys, and maybe a bit more support. He can ride more. He has better equipment, and that 4 or 5 seconds then becomes 3, 2 seconds. Then you're sort of looking at that ride, but it's getting that break that you need, and then making it all work. And it's a hard spot he's in because he's doing everything right, but it's hard because all the seats are taken.
Yep.
Now there's a guy, say like Nato Crawford, who then will potentially probably take a seat next year, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, he's in a hard spot. Like, does he just keep slogging it out and doing it on his own, or does he get burnt out doing it on his own? It's tough because he is riding really well and he deserves it.
Yeah, no, I don't know what to suggest at this point because he's doing what he can other than, like we said, about the time gap. Short of, like, the man works during the week too, so it's not like your suggestion there about riding more would be helpful, but he would need more support to be able to afford it. And it's this, circle of crap that he's stuck in, like, how do I get out of that and make the circle bigger or whatever? So, he's one, but I think the main point is he's doing a damn good job. So let's hope that he can keep the second half of the season, fit, healthy, doing similar things, because then I think that will then lead him in. If he stays where he is, he's a sneaky one for Supercross, because he had good results last year before he got hurt. If he comes in, because he came back from a big break before that season last year. If he comes in this year fully fit off the back of motocross, look out. Maybe that's the boost he needs to get that closer to the front. So we'll see. Yeah,
definitely. No, I agree. Supercross too. He can. The equipment doesn't matter, I don't think, as much, right? As in, it's a tight track. A 450 is a 450. Like, it makes it a little easier to not be as far back. So if he gets a start and gets up with those boys, like, he'll throw it in there too. He's not scared. That's for sure.
Well, he's got the size to put behind the moves, so
Yeah. So no, I'm all for it. I'm a big fan of Luke and his brother. They run a cool program, and all the best to him. Yeah, no, perfect. And look, perfect timing. I'm about to hit admit on our guest because we're about to hit MX2. So let's just bring in the overall winner from the weekend. He got 2-2 scores. It's the Honda Mounted Cade Kingsford. Let's get him in here and let's just see what screens we end up with him onto the two of them here.
How you going, mate?
Cade, how are you, mate?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good. I've just got to readjust some stuff here because it's just thrown us off. Can you throw us? You're on sideways on your phone, I gather, or on your computer?
Oh, are we? Hold on. Let's try to fix this.
There we go. This will make things a little bit easier, but I'm going to have to zigzag everything here. Hold on 2 seconds. Every time somebody joins, it's an amazing how different this crap can end up. So
playing Jenga.
Oh, it's frustrating and what you guys see is completely different on my end of what I'm putting out onto the YouTube stream. So it just makes it even more stupid for me. It's frustrating to no end.
I'm spinning around in circles here, mate. I don't know what you're doing. No.
Hey, look, how many things you took before the show I'm not open to, all right? Oh, jeez. All right, hold a second. All right, out that way. Go that way. We're going to get Cade nice and centered in this shot eventually. Here we go. And we need to get you off that one. So, Cade, mate, pretty good weekend for you on the over there in Toowoomba. 2-2 moto scores. It's like the collarbone never, ever happened, buddy.
Yeah, no, it was a good weekend. Good comeback.
How does that happen? We're 2.5 weeks, aren't we, from a collarbone surgery, for a fractured collarbone that happened, was it Wednesday, before the previous round?
Yeah.
How do we get to the point where you're just that comfortable running up front and like nothing was wrong?
Yeah, I think we're just, always doing it. Just get out there, you race, and then sometimes you kind of forget these things happen. Obviously at Gilman it was, bugging me a bit, but by Toowoomba, once the gates drop, it's kind of, straight back to that race thing. We've done so many races that one race kind of doesn't just throw everything off. Obviously felt a lot better coming into Toowoomba than what I was at Kilman. So it was kind of once the gate drops, I got 2 good starts at Toowoomba, which also helped a lot. And then, just kind of remembering where you are, where you should be, and just get straight back to it.
Is there?
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say, like, Cade, with obviously Gilman being, your first time back on a bike since you've had surgery, was there a thing of like, see how it goes, just get to the motos, get a gate drop and sort of see how it plays out, or were you just full steam ahead, no worries?
Yeah, I kind of knew I just had to go fast straight away. Like, I think in those situations, the hardest thing you can do to yourself is think about it. Yep. Like, you don't want to think about it too much. The goal was go out there, do 1 roll lap in practice, and then pretty much just go for it and just try and get into a rhythm. And then obviously not using it too much. I think I done 1 lap in quali that was half all right, and then that was it. I called it quits from there. And then just 2 gate drops and just let adrenaline take over pretty much and just try hardest. I was in 2 really heated battles, both motos, which in a sense kind of probably helped me a little bit, take your mind off it. Look, it definitely didn't feel good, that's for sure, but got out there, got good points, so that definitely helped.
So when you're in the mix of all that, and like last show, we were obviously talking about this as a lead-in, I think, after the weekend, we were doing a review. Elijah and I are talking about this, and we're going, look, the smart brain probably says, don't worry about that round, sit it out, go to the next one. We're talking nonsense about the fact that things are like, you're probably not going to get to the point where you're potentially going to keep going with the championship based on the fact that you just had a broken collarbone. Maybe think bigger picture, just save yourself for Supercross later in the year and whatever. And I did say at the end of that, because we did sound, repeating that now, we sound like idiots, but I did say at the end of it that, like, as a racer, I can see, because I've done these sorts of things at a much lower level, where you go, I don't care that I was injured, I'm going and I'm having a crack at it. Were you just at that point where you didn't even think anything but I'm going to the race? Because that's sort of what it looks like from the outside now, thinking back on it.
Yeah, I think, it's our job now that we get paid to race. So when we don't show up, people lose money on sponsors, we lose money, championship points, everything. And I think when I crashed, I think it was about 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, and I was on the ground asking people, how do I get in surgery? Because I'm racing. That's it. And lucky enough, there was a few people with us, frostbeaten. He helped out heaps to get us straight into a surgeon that Arvo night-ish. And yeah, all the surgeons, it all went well. It all got in quick. So the mindset straight away was race no matter what. Whether we could get in that day, the next day, whatever it was, just we were going to race no matter what. I just kind of knew I needed points. Obviously, my mind, I was in this championship. I had the red plate, and I still think I am in this championship after this round. And I didn't want to give up those valuable points, definitely. So my mindset straight away was we're racing no matter what.
Yeah, wow. Impressive, and what you did after that too, and then obviously this weekend in Toowoomba to do what you've done. And I'm going to go back to a comment from maybe 2 years ago or something. I was interviewing Brett Metcalf after he broke his collarbone during Supercross, and he's had the surgery, and I think I was talking to him maybe a week later or something, and he made the comment that basically the day afterwards, you're like, get the bike ready, I can go, I feel good, So obviously you felt in that same window, you didn't have any problems, and, you must have been straight into the rehab to make sure that the thing didn't swell and you could move it where you needed to, because you don't look like there's anything holding you back this weekend in Toowoomba, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing with surgeries, and especially this one. It's a fine line of, like, you got to get it moving, yes, but you also don't want to move it too much. So I was kind of in limbo land on what to do, what not to do. Ended up choosing to not use it as much, but I was hurting, man. Like even the day before it, walking around, like your whole, I don't know if you guys have ever had one, but your whole neck trap, like trying to even sleep the nights before, like it was definitely a rough lead up. Like I personally didn't even know how well I was going to go myself. Like I knew I sat on the bike on the Saturday before, and I kind of knew, like, I'd be able to ride, but to what extent, I don't know. And I think it was a little bit better than what I was expecting. obviously, like, it hurt. My arm fell off the bars a few times, and it was like, it was pretty much just ride on instincts rather than, you know, think about it. Like, every time I mentally thought I was hurting, it was just like, oh, just keep going, just do one more lap and finish in both motos with good there. So that's going to help in the long run for sure.
Yeah, that just goes to show, obviously, how mentally tough you've got to be right now. Riding with an injury like that and pushing yourself through something like that, I guess it kind of helps for when you are healthy, right? And you might be having a moto where you're a little bit off, but you know mentally that you can kind of push through whatever's going on, right, on track.
Yeah, I think mentally it helps massive. You know, even coming into this weekend, just trying to push it aside as quick as possible. Like, I didn't really ride much from Gilman to here. I think I done a day or two the week before Toowoomba, just, you know, kind of 80%, you know, getting a feel of the bike, not doing heaps. But, like, there wasn't a lot happening gym-wise. There was cardio and whatnot, but just trying to go into Toowoomba knowing that you didn't have a great lead-up and you have had this, just trying to put that out of the window and kind of get over it too much. I think a lot of people with injuries, they can sometimes mentally get caught up in it for too long, and it kind of... They think it's an issue, but I think if you mentally get over it, you can kind of jump these hurdles a bit quicker and you know, kind of get on with it. So I knew it felt a lot better at Toowoomba. Like, by the last couple laps of both motos, it was kind of hurting a little bit, but I was fortunate enough. Well, in Moto 1, I obviously had my brother and a few boys kind of close, so I had to push to the end. But Moto 2, I was fortunate enough that the last couple laps, I had a pretty big gap behind me, and I obviously knew the situation I was in, so I was able to kind of just cruise it in there and not put too much pressure on it. But it's just one of those things, you know, the more you think about it at that point, the more it just holds you back. So just trying to get it out of your mind, get rid of it, and just focus forward is definitely the key.
Yeah, well, look, 9-point gap now in the championship because of this effort that you've put in. Obviously helped with a little bit by Alex Larwood having that, you know, bad moto there. But, man, 9 points. I don't know, after what you've gone through to be where you are halfway into the season, 9 points down in second, mate, you've got to be looking at this going, I'm in this for the rest of this, right? Like, it's there. You can do this if everything goes well. I assume there is a little bit of a plan with the gap between now and Appen of a few weeks to sort of build back into this gradually so that the second half of the season goes well. But, yeah, championship-wise, you're looking like you're in the battle, right?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in the battle. There's been a lot of work on starts. Obviously, my starts hadn't been great for the first half of this year, really, compared to what they are. Wonthaggi was good starts, but I think Toowoomba, I had them back. So it's just, I really like Appen. As a track, I've always rode well there. It's kind of, I grew up around that area, so I've ridden it a lot. And I think just going out there, I'll be a lot more healthy than what I am now with a 3-week lead up. More testing on that stuff, just get 2 hole shots and, you know, run away with it if I can, and if I can't, then just put the pressure on everyone else. So I think that's definitely the plan for the rest of the season. But halfway through and 9 points down, I think it's we're definitely in it, and we'll just see where it takes us.
Hey Elijah, I used to live near Appen. Not many people said they like Appen as well. So
yeah, no, it's not the most popular one. But like, I was actually going to say that I heard something, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cade, but I think you got your first MX3 win at Appen, right?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was, we just see these riders, and like yourself, Cade, you're so young, and you're a rookie in this MX2 class, and you literally only got your first MX3 win last year at Appen, right? Is this, and I know you're a racer, and you want to win, and you expect to win, but coming into this MX2 season and having the results you've had so far, like, has it been, I wouldn't say a surprise, but is it sort of ahead of plan or ahead of schedule of what you thought may be the case for your rookie MX2 season?
Yeah, I think you could definitely get caught up in the hype. Obviously, going from last year, at the start of last year, I hadn't even had an MX3 Moto win yet, to the championships, the wins, and then obviously now being in the championship hunt with 2 wins already in MX2. So it is and it isn't. Like, we have a plan set. I think the program, riding with all the MX2 boys in and out during the week, I think I know my potential, and to be there at the practice track before Wonthaggi, like, there wasn't much talk about me being up the front, They said maybe top 5, maybe below. But look, I had no pressure on myself. I knew if I could go out there and get 2 good starts, I was going to be there. I seen my speed before it, everything, my fitness. So I kind of expected myself to be there. And as a racer, like that's normally what you do. But
Yeah.
in it now, it's when you look back at it, you're like, we've progressed a long way very fast, and we have, and it's a good thing. But just not getting caught up in it. You know, we have a set goal from here and a plan, and it's just keep doing your thing, race by race, and just keep progressing how we are.
Yeah. Well, I actually talked to a few boys that you ride with during the week previous to Wonthaggi, and they actually told me, they said, mate, Cade's the one you need to look out for, because during the week he is on the gas. And I know we all say flying at the test track, or flying at the test track during the week, and it's always hype. But the boys did back you on that. So I'm obviously I'm stoked to see where you're at right now. It's impressive, bro.
No, thanks.
So on that plan, is there anything you can let into anybody else here? Like, are you staying in Australia for a set period of time? Have you got some overseas races or something that you're eyeballing up either this year or next? Like, is there anything you can let in on anybody, or you just have to cut me off and like, I'd lose connection here, right? Like,
I don't know how much I can say about that, but the plan is definitely America.
Yeah. I figured as much. Obviously, we had your brother on a couple of weeks ago. He was mentioning similar sorts of things. Obviously, his plan got a little bit adjusted by a shoulder injury at Christmas time. So I figured you're on a similar sort of thing, maybe into next year as such. But I just wasn't sure what you are allowed to say on these sorts of things.
Well, I mean, how does that go too? Like, obviously, we see Jet and Hunter Lawrence, like two brothers doing amazing things overseas, and then you get to ride and race now with your older brother. How's that dynamic going during the week? Like, he's obviously coming back to form. You're now getting healthy again. Like, how's the dynamic work during the week? Are you guys at each other at all, or are you just pushing each other along like brothers do? Because I know I raced my older brother, and we used to take each other out during the week and stuff. But he would always come race day. We would support each other and push each other to to get the best results possible. So how does that work with you guys?
No, it's definitely been good. Obviously racing with your brother and being on the same team now, and obviously around like the same speeds, we can learn a lot from each other. Testing, we pretty much do everything together. We live together, train off bike together, so it's cool in that sense. Obviously there's banter, we're close as brothers. But to be able to help each other, and when you're out there racing, I mean, even though it's your brother, you're obviously going to give him space, but you're racing for yourself. Like, I want to beat him just as much as he wants to beat me. It's it's how it is. But we keep it clean, and it's been good. I think he's getting a lot better now. Obviously, his shoulder's recovering, so I think the last 2 rounds, Toowoomba, he actually rode really well. Just I think he needed to improve on his starts a little bit there, but he's starting to come into form, so I reckon the battles might get a bit more heated the next few rounds.
Yeah, you might need to eat at different dinner tables at night, something like
that.
Maybe.
I'm looking forward to that aspect, to see if that part does come in, because obviously with him sort of on his rise back up, and then you had a little lull, and then you're coming back up, there's a point where you're both going to run the same pace at the front of the moto and probably go back and forth on each other at some point. So I'm curious how he's how cordial it is at that point, right? Like, it's got to be able to have mum and dad still look at you straight in the eyes afterwards, right?
Yeah, I think mum and dad get more stressed than we do out there, that's for sure, watching this race. We were pretty close to each other a few times in Moto 1 at Toowoomba, so that was it's cool for us. I don't think we stress on it. We don't, obviously we're not going to try and rub each other up, take each other out, that sort of stuff, but it's cool, We haven't really ever raced each other in our junior days. We've had a couple little races here and there, but he was always a little bit older than me, so we never kind of met. But to come out here now at the level that we're at, like two brothers, as much as we sit here looking at America now and keep focusing forward, when we look back at it, we were just two kids from Goulburn who had dreams of racing for a factory team, and now we're out here on the same team racing each other. So it's cool. It's pretty cool when you look back at it like that sense, and when you're out there, racing your brother for podiums and wins, and it's definitely a cool thing.
Perspectives are pretty good here, Elijah.
That's cool.
I think if they keep this level-headedness, they might go places, right?
Yeah, no, that's so cool to hear. Like, and like you said, Kate, obviously, every kid's dream here to racing is to go to the States, to go be the best in the world, and that's awesome. That's one thing to have, but it's also really important for career longevity and all of that is to enjoy right now, right? And by the sounds of it, you are. Like, that's super important for for family, for your brother, and to enjoying your career, enjoying what you can do is obviously then going to give you a longer career, right?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think a lot of people, can kind of get caught up in the hype. Say, I know a lot of 18-year-olds, if they were kind of in a position where they're winning MX2 races already and there's American talk and there's this talk and that talk, I think a lot of people can, kind of get a little bit sort of ahead of themselves and thinking too far forward. But you kind of just got to, it's good to enjoy the moment, but it's also good to, stay grounded, take it race by race and, just go out there, do your best, have fun with it. That's the main thing. And, just see where it takes you.
I guess in moto, as much as those things are potentials on the horizon, until they actually get there, they never actually, you're never actually there with it, right? It's never guaranteed because so much can change. An injury can throw out a best laid plan, or even just a team or whatever could fold or whatever. So, there's lots to it. But yeah, you got the right perspective, and you're saying the right things at least on the interview right now to make me, make me sort of go, oh, geez, there's something level and right going on in your mind. So yeah, no, that's it's an awesome point to have for it. I guess on all the brother talk sort of things, are you two, because you both have similar personalities, and I was just actually this afternoon, just while I was cooking dinner and everything, I'm watching one of the This Is Lawrence's things. Do we see a This Is Kingsford or something at some point? Like, do you have that personality where you guys are going to have like your vlog series going or something? Or is there any rival, tubes channels you got to get in on here?
It's not something we've really spoken about just yet. I think it's kind of just we're in a part of our career where we're not really settled yet as in such.
Yeah.
I think obviously the Lawrences, they got to the top and they were planning on staying at Honda in the same place. So they had a lot of a structure there. America is obviously the highest level, so they're going to be racing there for the rest of their career. But I don't really know if it's worth setting anything up like that yet when we're in Australia, if the plan is to get to America. But we're definitely close, the whole family's, we're all in on each other. So, maybe down the line there will definitely be something like that. We'd both be keen on it. Maybe like some clothing or, obviously you said YouTube, that'd be cool too. So we're close enough to definitely do something like that. And that'd be very cool. But we kind of need to get situated first and see where we can take ourselves before we start sort of focusing on that.
Again, a sensible answer, Elijah. I was kind of looking for like, we're going to, show all the girls we're partying with and all this sort of stuff, and then nothing, just nice level head, right? Like it's refreshing.
I love it. I love the attitude. And you can see like, Hayden, you're riding, like you've got a confident swagger about you when you ride, right? And as a rider, like, it's not cockiness, but it's a confidence in your riding. You throw whips, like you got style, and especially during Supercross, when you had that battle with Ryder, and you had, it wasn't an overconfident, it was just a confidence in yourself and a confidence in your riding, and that is really cool to see. Now, just switching up a little bit, I want to go back to Toowoomba, and we were talking about it earlier, and what was your thoughts on the track coming in with that, not much riding? And were you very confident about the track prep? Because I know 250s go out early. So what were your thoughts coming into the practice or through practice at Toowoomba?
Yeah, it was, look, the track prep itself wasn't really that great. I feel like I don't really know why they put so much water on the first corner and the first straight at Toowoomba.
Thank you.
Our first moto at Toowoomba, the whole first moto, that first start straight, and for the MX3 guys as well, it was claiming people like left, right and centre, as well as the first corner. And lucky enough, they fixed the first straight. But as for the first corner, they put more water on it before the MX1 moto again compared to what it already was. And then they didn't rip it for the day, so there was ruts in it and it was pretty hard and slick. So look, the track prep itself, the rest of the track was pretty good, but that part was, a bit of a mix-up. As for being confident in it, I think we've ridden those conditions so many times in our life. This is our job now, so we don't really get to any track and kind of get nervous about the conditions. We've ridden so many tracks and we have kind of setups for this and that. So we go out there and ride, and whatever it is. I think we're confident enough in ourselves that once we get out there, you figure it out. It's we've ridden these tracks a lot too. Obviously racing for the last couple of years in Pro MXs, like we've been to most of these tracks, so we kind of understand how they're going to form up, and just riding every track as well, we kind of understand how they're going to form up. But I think as for track prep, it was pretty poor in a sense in some spots. But by the end of the day, it was definitely a raceable track.
Yeah.
Yeah, the track prep side of things, I always question why the watering is done so late in the prep phase of it. Like, I always talked about it with, like my old man when we were juniors and stuff, going through races, and like the tracks that were really well prepped had spent the week watering over the week, right? Like to let the soil absorb and let it get deeper, so that when they did turn over the soil, it was already down low, and then they weren't watering the stuff on top and creating wet pockets and holes and everything for it to sink, like that first straight that you're talking about did. I just feel like they've gone to this point where, like, they do things on a Friday and a Saturday to have little, other races or other press day bits and pieces, and then they rip it all up on Saturday afternoon, evening, and try to do all the prep in this small little window, and then wonder why the thing's a slop hole the next morning. Like, it just doesn't seem to be a clever process that they go through.
That's why I do not miss at all, well, especially racing nationals, but also being in the MX2 class, because you go out early. 450 class is all right because you get at least a half bed in track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Canberra was the worst for that. Like, we were walking it on Saturday, and we were like, it's dry. It wasn't ripped deep. And we were like, oh, it's going to be not deep at all. And then they overwater it to a sense. Like, I think they're putting too much water on too late. They need to put, like you said, obviously water it the week before, get the water in it, and then you don't have to water it that much. Like, we went there, I mean, MX2 qualifying at Canberra was not good. It was bad conditions. And then it was pretty much, by the end of the day, it was, some corners had ruts, some were just concrete banks. It's just, I think Wonthaggi was a good prep. I think Gilman was a pretty good prep too. Gilman's obviously got like a lot of a harder base now. I don't know if they haven't topped any new dirt in it for a while, but Gilman and Wani were pretty good preps. But as for, Canberra was a pretty late watering job, which I think kind of, ruined its potential a little bit. And then Toowoomba, they obviously that first straight and that first corner. But look, if they get the water in it a bit more earlier, I think it would definitely help. Yeah,
it's just an odd thing that they seem to have gone to this late sort of, let's throw as much water on it and it'll last all day sort of thing from the night before. I get that, like, weather is unpredictable, and you've got the week, that it could rain during that, and you could end up with it really wet because you've been watering as well. But I don't know, have a bit more of a plan, try and work these things out, because it is a bit of a rough go for you guys. And we'll say, in particularly those 85 kids at Toowoomba were having a shocker in terms of like the conditions that they got to deal with. So it's just not, obviously it could rain and it could end up like that anyway, but if it's not raining, why are we having a full mudder in the morning sort of thing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So
yeah, well, I mean, there's a weather forecast too, so
well, yeah,
we can't. We should have half an idea of what's going to go on.
Yeah. We do have these technology tools and stuff. Yeah, I get it. So anyway, it is what it is.
Toowoomba is not a track that you need a muddy first corner and second straight at either. Like, that corner has to change because it's so sketchy. But especially when there is like a slop hole, or we saw in the 450 class with Liam going in there hard, like, it shouldn't be prepped like that in the first corner.
Nah, I mean, it's the fastest straight on the track on the calendar, and I mean, there was 40 of us guys. I'm lucky enough that I was kind of at the front both starts, but there's 40 MX2 dudes that are going there to get money. Like, they're not going in there slow. We're going in there fast. And we're getting to a corner that you don't really slow down for a lot. That's full of water. It's hard pack. And then you go to the next straight where there's one good rut, and the rest of it, you just got to lean back and pray. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. The danger factor to the risk to reward prepping it like that. I mean, they could prep the rest of the track deep, water it, but leave, the first corner, the first straight a little bit, maybe not as watered, not as deep, just for everyone's actual safety. I mean, because no matter how ripped or or not ripped it is, we're all going in there flat out no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a bit nicer if they would kind of help for that sense. But look, I don't know.
That's where MXGP and ignore the French one from the weekend with Vial's crash, because that's a little bit of a weird situation too, with that bank and everything and the way that start lined up to go to the bank. And anyway, but they have, generally speaking, they have that whole rule about that it's meant to be a left-hand U-turn. It's only allowed to be so long of a straight, so you can only get to a certain speed, and they do prep that separate from the rest of the track, so then it's at a different... it's a bit of a safer setup into that first turn and a certain speed that you're going to achieve in it, and obviously you're braking for it again to allow things like whole shot devices to come off properly, because that, if you're wedged on the back wheel and you're sort of tipping in and drifting, you're not really loading the front to let that thing come undone, so then you hit a bog hole with it down like this, you're potentially screwed, right? So there is some benefits to those things. We haven't obviously adapted any of that sort of stuff, but watching you guys come into that first corner in all the races, it was super sketchy at a super high speed. Wasn't envying that at all.
No. Well,
I mean, it wasn't fun.
Obviously, Toowoomba has the great starts as well, right? So for you, Cade, was that something, did you guys have a different setting for the great starts? Like, did you go back to a Supercross setting for the start, like off the, a start map or anything? Did you change anything for the great starts?
Not necessarily. We've been playing around with a couple different things this year, not necessarily just for the greats, but just in general.
Yeah.
And obviously body positioning and that is different on the greats. Not so much bike, but we did change something from Moto 1 to Moto 2 mapping wise, and it was a lot better. I think it was more so back to my 2K25 start. So that start was a lot better. That's kind of what I've been searching for now. Obviously, MX3 last year, even though I was, getting good starts, you get a bad start and it's kind of, you can get through quick enough. But I mean, these guys are competitive. There's a lot more, it's a lot deeper of a field. So a start is really important, so we've been definitely playing around with stuff like that. But as for the greats to the dirt, it's not so much a bike change, it's more so like a body position change. Obviously it's a lot grippier than kind of the dirt starts that we normally have, and it was kind of didn't really have many long ruts out of it either, so it was pretty grippy the whole way until obviously the first corner. But no, it wasn't, you don't really change a lot of that as in sense. Does your mappings, do they just like kick out a certain RPM or at a certain gear that you do it? How does yours set up for? We don't actually, I don't run a start map. As in sense, I kind of rather go off feel.
Yep.
I have like a certain spot that I normally, rev to, and I can kind of hear it. It's, I think it's good. I just, don't like to be very limited on my starts. I feel like I'm pretty well naturally talented at them when if like something happens, I can kind of adjust quick enough myself. So I don't really run a start map to limit myself in that sense. It's something that I actually haven't tried, but I don't, if something's not broken, then why change is in a sense.
Well, if you're naturally... Sorry, if you got a natural feel for a start too, like as someone who I had a reasonable start technique and ability as well, like if you got a feel for it, don't put things in place to try and make you do it a certain way. Just let it happen, because it's starts a confidence too, right? Like if you just know that I'm going to do it, well, it's going to work. Like don't throw in other steps. If the process isn't complicated, don't complicate it.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and also too, like here in Australia, we have so many different variety of starts, different dirt, sometimes great, sometimes cement, right? So I guess the start map wouldn't work everywhere, right? So you're going to go off feel, whereas in the States or in GPs, they have the same greats every week. Their starts prepped the same every week. So that's where your start maps are going to come into play. So if you can do it by feel and you've got so many different types of dirt, I think you're best off like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think also they have the same gate system every round too. Like some of our rounds, our gates drop slower. Some of them, some of them have little flinches before they actually drop. Every round actually has a different set of gates. So that's, we have a concrete round at Toowoomba. So
Yeah.
everything is so different. I think in Australia, you know, you're almost better off just kind of having it yourself. I don't know of anyone running a start map. At least none of the main of the top guys.
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of just obviously plays it by feel, but it's almost hard to test for that when every track there's a different kind of gate set up. There's a different, you know, dirt, obviously, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you'd need like 5 or 6 of these things in the bank and switching them out each time you got to a track when it didn't work. So yeah, it's probably not ideal. I just, the way you're talking at the start of it, I thought it sounded like you had one. So yeah, that's why I asked like where it was kicking out and stuff. So no, I'm kind of glad you don't use one because of all those other reasons we just sort of went through afterwards. Because some of that electronic stuff is good in theory. I've never found on most of these bikes when you're trying to use them at a higher level that they actually let you ride the way you actually already ride, if that makes sense. Like they cut in and they do something to the way you're doing the corner or the start or the shifting of the gear, and it's like, yeah, it was okay, but when I'm really on it, it doesn't do the way I want it to do it. So like, you guys are better off at the level you guys are at, just to all natural, really, is what I think anyway. Like,
yeah, I think there's a level to it. Like, obviously, the top guys in America and GP, I think, kind of gets to a point where a start map would definitely be good. Obviously, their start maps and the stuff that they can put in their bikes is to another level as well, especially those in-house European teams. So the stuff that they have is probably, you know, it's not quite the stuff that a lot of people could definitely get. But and like Elijah said, every single start is the exact same. You know, the start traits in Europe, they're all prepped. Everything is so, you know, the exact same that it's kind of, it would be good to have one of them just so, you know, you're confident, you know, your revs max out at a certain thing. You know, everything's the exact same. But, you know, over here, I think it's a little bit different with the variety of starts that we have.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm going to touch on a little bit of bike stuff as well too, because like obviously, you know, you've like we mentioned earlier, you've progressed so much so quickly, right? Now, obviously, your bike setup has to progress with you. Is it something that have you made quite drastic adjustments since you've been getting a lot faster, or you know, your speed's coming around? Is it something that you've had to keep on, you know, updated with is bike setup, or are you pretty simple across the board with the setup of the bike?
Yeah, I think that's actually the hardest thing that I've kind of struggled with, obviously progressing. Like last year I had a setting that I was comfortable with, but it felt like I was getting to a point where I was plateauing with it. And going to the start of this year, knowing that mentally I was going to have to pull speed to get to where I want to get to, was, right, well, this bike doesn't work anymore. So trying to find a new setup while getting faster and faster is something that was definitely, you know, a little bit of a struggle for the start of the year. Like, it wasn't really until Wonthaggi that I had a setup that I was comfortable on. Even Wonthaggi, I struggled a little bit, but we've got a pretty good base now at the speed that I'm going at. That is, you know, it's what you know. And I think I'm not really picky with suspension. Once I'm comfortable on something to go to a speed and I know what it's going to do at every track, normally I just keep it the same. But it was definitely the speed gap from last year to this year, you know, that I'm kind of going to, it wasn't going to work anymore. And that was what we were searching for the first couple months of the year.
Is that sort of would tie back into when I saw you guys, you and your brother down at Canberra for the state title rounds? I sort of, no offense, I was expecting a little bit more from both of you at that point. I didn't realise about the injury for Ryder at that point, but then hearing you saying that you're searching for a setting sort of maybe fits with more what I then saw in terms of when we were doing the commentary and we're looking for you guys to be at the front, and that you were obviously up there, but I felt like there was potentially more in that. And I gather you're working through all those things at that stage of the year, because that was what, late February, March or something, I think it was?
Yeah, I think it was February sometime. No, we were searching by then. We were deep in it. I think I had his forks in one race, he had my forks in, you know, we were swapping shocks, doing this, doing that. I mean, it was all sorts of shambles at that point. He was coming back from injury, so he was on a setup that he didn't know, and he was still trying to learn the bike. And then I had bits and pieces from everywhere. I had some stuff from last year, some new stuff, then obviously some of his stuff. So I'm pretty sure nearly every time we went out on the track, we were on something different. And
that explains a lot of what I saw then.
Yeah, that was, I think there was a Wonthaggi pre-race that we had. Between that, the Canberra race, we were definitely searching and I think it was good. You know, we were utilising the race rather than going out there and worried about results.
Yeah.
we were going out there and trying everything in a race situation, which I think definitely helped us progress quicker. Or at least me. Ryder was obviously a little bit further behind with his shoulder injury, but I think utilising all of those pre-season races that we did do and use as much testing as we could, I think that definitely helped.
You guys are obviously similar in speed when you're both fit and healthy. Now at this MX2 level, you're slightly taller, body size wise and everything. Correct?
Yeah, a little bit.
Does things like spring rates, because obviously that's what's holding your bike up at a certain weight level for you. Are they the same for you guys? Are you that close, or are you slightly different because of your height and your weight, and the things like your bar positions and stuff have to change? And what I'm getting at is, like, I look at, I'm going back to the Lawrences because it's a brotherly thing, but I've got videos of them from last year when I was over there where literally in press day, they was switching bikes, right? Like they literally did a lap, stood on the start line, switched bikes, hopped on and took off on the other bikes, and people are like, what are they doing? I'm like, they're testing settings, which one's better for which person, right? Like they've got two different settings in them.
Yeah.
Are you guys at a point where you can do that, or are there things that you like about your bike size wise because your size or your technique that doesn't allow that to happen, or are you pretty much same bars, same grips, same spring rates, and you can then work out the internal settings because everything else is pretty much the same?
Yeah, I think as for like bar setups, lever setups, stuff like that, we're a little bit different.
Okay.
I run a bit of a higher set of bars than him. I kind of like to stand a bit longer in corners, kind of lead with my head. So I think a higher set of bars obviously helps me.
Yep.
As for suspension, we're similar in ways, but different in other ways. I think at the start of the year, he was kind of chasing my setup a little bit. Like as I was progressing, he was kind of following that path. And then once I kind of stopped at a point where I liked and I was comfortable, I think he branched off a little bit in some different ways. Obviously trying some different offsets and stuff like that. Just, I don't know how much I can definitely get into it.
Yeah.
But we're definitely similar in ways. I think we could swap bikes and go pretty quick on each other's bikes, that's for sure. But there is a few little differences. Obviously, in riding styles too. Like you said, I'm a little bit taller, and there's a few little differences. But we're pretty well close enough. Yeah,
I would have exactly what you said about your corners and your standing position. That's the one thing I would say stands out differently from a just that optic look at quick look. Oh, that's definitely Cade and that's definitely Ryder in terms of if you spotted that on the track sort of thing. So yeah, that makes sense about then your bars needing to be slightly different position and whatnot. So yeah, no, interesting. Yeah. It's interesting because watching obviously the Lawrences do that, you're like, oh, they're getting a real fast switch over because they are so similar, right? But you guys are a little bit different in the sounds of a few things. So yeah, maybe a bit more work's got to go in individually in your own setups there. So
yeah, no, it's definitely right. I know, like, as much as people say, oh, your brothers, you should kind of be the same, it does come down to personal preference. Like, yeah, even Jet and Hunter, they don't ride the same. I'm sure they would obviously be going different ways sometimes. So I think it's cool to have your brother there because you can test so many things together, but it also is nice to go your own way when it needs to come down to that.
Yeah, well, not only having your brother to test from, but just having the years of previous championships under that team, right? It's always a good thing. Like, with Brody obviously winning, the past years, is it something you've been able to take any sort of feedback from his setups to your setup at all?
Yeah, I think that's good too. Like, even obviously the 450 side of things is different, with Kyle and that, but there's so much knowledge under the team. And you look at the American side of things too, we can take, things from Quad Lock Honda and bring them over here if they work. And there's so much knowledge within the team and the people that Yariv knows, and a lot of people know that we can relay a lot of that. But once again, it comes down to, first of all, you got to think, this work, and then they've been helping us get comfortable. And yeah, like you guys said, just using the information from previous champions has definitely helped.
Yeah, well, whatever that first moto, that Honda clean sweep, just keep doing that. I'm sure Yariv will be stoked with that.
Yeah, he was, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, look, Cade, I've probably kept you longer than I said we were going to, but I really appreciate obviously all the answers and the insight into the program and what's going on. I guess the only last thing from me is like, what's on the cards training wise for the next couple of weeks up to Appen? Are we going to hit full pace again in a scaled sense the week before, or are we going to just, you got a rest thing going on? What are you doing? Are we back to normal training from next week sort of thing?
As so much of training, it's kind of, this week will be a little bit more mellow, kind of just recovering from the weekend, and obviously still getting back to fitness. But I'll be back to 100% by Appen, that's for sure.
Yeah, nice.
So speed will be up there, and I think shoulder and everything. I don't think it'll be a question anymore by Appen.
Yeah, well, given what you did on the weekend at Toowoomba, I don't think the speed's going to be an issue come Appen. So, Elijah, you got anything else for Cade before we let him run off here?
Nah. Yeah, huge props on what you've done. Like, it's, I don't think people understand how hard that is to be out of surgery a couple of days and do that. So, like, we obviously don't know what's going to happen, but come down to the last round and you're in the fight for this championship, that you'll be looking at that, and that's pretty impressive, mate. So,
yeah,
good on you. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Easy.
Well, appreciate your time, Cade. Thanks for joining us on the AlwaysMoto show. And, we look forward to seeing what the rest of the 4 rounds of this season have for you. And hopefully there's a red plate and or a championship in this along the way and for more wins. So, yeah, good luck with it. And we'll catch up with you. I'll be at Appen, so I'll catch up with you then. And, we'll see how it all progresses for the rest of the season.
No worries. Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. That was a very insightful chat with Cade. Ryder was the same. They are super open, easy to talk to. They got good personality, level-headed. They know where they're going. They know what they're doing. I really like talking to the Kingsfords. yeah.
Like I mentioned to you previous to us getting on the podcast here tonight, I said I hadn't had much to do with Cade. I haven't really spoken to him other than a g'day or whatever it was, but for how young he is and how sort of their outlook as obviously him and the family together, like it's pretty cool to see. Like, yeah, it's definitely.
I'm just waiting for it to catch up on the stream. It just dropped on me. Oh, God. I'm watching the little device that tells me whether it's dropping in or out, and it's just dropped, and I'm like, yeah, wait, it'll come back. Yes,
like a Channel 9 News delayed report.
Yeah, I'm out in the field and it's just like, hold on. No, exactly what you said. And I can't wait. Like, both, obviously, Cade wasn't able to say exactly what he's up to. Ryder said a little bit more about what they're up to, what he's up to with his plan and his contract, in terms that he was meant to do West Coast Supercross, but then that shoulder injury threw that out. So he's potentially going to go and do something later in the season, potentially motocross wise, if things work out that way. So they're both going to, at some point, they're going to be both stateside trying to get to these AMA events. I think the American public is going to be completely shocked when there's another set of Aussie brothers turning up and potentially on Honda as well. They're just going to be what the F is going on, right? Like,
I mean, they got some big shoes to fill. But
well, it's, they've got a little path they've got to follow here, and
But no, I do, and I mean, we've spoken about it before, and I've spoken about it with other people. I do think Cade, with the progression he's had so quickly, he's still so young. I do think he needs to get overseas as soon as possible. And obviously he's in the right spot to do that, right? With Uribe and the contacts and the team overseas. And it is kind of, that is the path that is sort of, you can kind of see obviously that they're taking. So, I think that'll be cool to see for sure. And for Ryder too, like Ryder's still young, he's still got a long career ahead of him. So that's going to be, cool for both the boys.
Yeah, no, they both just need to get over there as soon as they possibly can, because they're gonna dominate over here if they stay here. And as good as that would be for them, I think they need more of a challenge, and they need to see where they can get themselves to. So, look, good on them. Hopefully it comes off sometime soon. I'm just here to watch and see where it ends up, right? Like, I'm just keen. Right?
Well, it makes it hard too, because say if Larwood wins the championship, like, is he then like, hey, I won the championship, I'm going overseas, and then does that get in the way? Like, Uribe, as much as he dominates the the motocross, the supercross over here, it's also got to be hard and stressful, right? Thinking like, far out now, who do I send overseas? Like. It's so that could be an interesting one.
I'm sure it's in every single one of their contracts that at a certain point they get to go and do it. So Uribe's probably sitting there going, Jesus, I shouldn't have put that in every contract, right? Like,
I've overpromised. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a problem for him financially and in his pocket to work out. So
it's a good problem to have, is your riders winning races.
Definitely a good problem. Definitely a good problem. Yeah. All right, let's. We never got to MX2 in terms of Toowoomba side of things. Obviously, we chatted with the winner, but let's talk about the rest of the field. Ryder Kingsford. Obviously, we mentioned him there throughout that interview as well. He is coming around something severe at the moment with his riding pace and everything. Now with the Honda and the shoulder injury starting to get further and further behind him. I think the only thing, and it was mentioned there, but he got some average starts. Otherwise. Yep. He's right there, and I feel like Appen in that second half of the season for him is going to be a potential turning point, and he is only about 30 points down out of this one. Let me double check that one, because it was 120. He's 127, Larwood's 164, so he's 30-ish points out. So it's a bit of a stretch for the championship. But, man, I reckon he's a chance for a lot of overalls here down the stretch if he keeps going the way he's going with his progression.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, new bike, coming in injured, it's going to take some time, even if you weren't injured, right, on a new bike. So he's coming around, and he even said on the podium he felt like he let a win slip, right? And he's got, what did he get, third overall? Third overall?
Yep.
And he's saying that he's let a win slip. So he's confident, right?
He seemed dirty about that too. So he was obviously agitated by that.
Yeah. So that he's at a point now where he's like, all right, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm ready to win. Whereas, rounds 1 and 2, he wasn't in that mindset, because he is coming back into it. Now you can tell that he's hungry to win, he wants to win, and he will win a round, whether that's Appen or whatnot. I believe he will get a round win, and then you're going to have all three Honda boys battling out for the wins. So, yeah.
Well, we're just going to go back to that point. At some point, what was it, in Supercross 25, where we had like 1, 2, 3 Hondas in the SX2s? We're going to be MX2 1, 2, 3s here very shortly, potentially, for this Honda team. So, again, your Reeves going to be paying out some bonus money and having a few headaches here down the track in terms of who goes where. Speaking of that, Alex Larwood obviously got a Moto win at Toowoomba, but didn't get much in that second one, had 2 issues there in that second Moto. Larwood seems to be the case that he's going to win the Motos when he's up with a good start, but when something goes astray, he hasn't, and I think there's been some bike issues that have caused this, but he hasn't been able to move forward from those issues, particularly once he had that second fall. He sort of just switched off, right? Like, it looked like he was trying to go back to the front, but then he had that second odd crash, like he buried it in that rut at the bottom of the skyline there, isn't it, where they come down the hill and do that tight U-turn. He buried it in that, and it just ejected back, and just got all sorts of out of shape and got stuck under the bike. He definitely switched off after that in terms of how he was going to attack that race. So it's interesting to see what he's doing recently. He's winning, but he's also having these other motos.
Yeah, it's hard because when he doesn't have these issues, like you said, he wins every time he doesn't have these issues. Yeah. So he's won the most motos, right? He's I guess been the most dominant rider, as in, when he's on, he wins by quite a bit. Like even the first moto, he won by 12 or 13 seconds or whatever it was. But then he does have these moments, and something he's got to figure out. That one at Toowoomba was, like I said, it was real weird. He kind of just buried it in, or just tipped it over.
But it sort of sat in and came out of the rut, it rebounded out.
I think because they're going downhill, I think he's just committed so much, and he's tried to brake, and maybe his rear wheels kind of in-swinged a little bit, and then just stoved in and got hit. And I think, I don't want to say that he was concussed, but he copped a foot peg to the back of his helmet quite hard.
Yeah.
So whether he took a bit to get his bearings or whatnot, because he never really got back going full pace.
No, you're 100% onto something. Maybe whether there was anything there or not, I don't know. But yeah, that is a potential reason for that lack of like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to push. Maybe he just did have that little. I just saw a couple of Tweety birds, and I'm going to wait a second. Like I don't know. So. Whatever he does when he's on, he's well and truly on. We just he needs to be super more consistent when things are going astray. So let's see what happens second half. At the moment, he's in the driver's seat for this championship. Benny and I have spoken about this as a Queensland positive, but outside of Queensland negative. And I'm wondering if you know where I'm going with this one. Noah Ferguson. Sunny State races, he's killing it. So far through the Nationals, average at best, let's say. Got a moto win, but it was at Toowoomba, so it was Queensland related. Is this form that he found in Moto 2 Queensland related and a good start, or is it finally a turning point with him and the Yamaha team because he's obviously on that new bike this season, needed to get some things sorted out? I don't know. What are your thoughts on him? Because I feel like there's just a little bit of a positiveness to the Queensland rounds for him that he's obviously good with and riding a high with and hasn't been able to find it, or is it just that he needed the time with the bike and everything and team and he's now there?
Yeah. Well, you got to think about it. Noah's been on, 3 different brands in the last 3
KTM
years.
Honda the 2 years before, so yeah.
Yeah, he was a gas, and then he was a Honda, then he was a KTM, and now he's a Yamaha, right?
Yep.
So I don't think he's probably had, I know a season's a long time, but you still, you could be searching for things on a bike, and then all of a sudden you get on a different bike and you're searching for things, and you're
true.
trying to learn a new bike. So that could be a part of it as well. I know that team has been doing quite a lot of work with the bike and with him to get him to a place where he's comfy. But in saying that also too, he has pretty often had good results at Toowoomba, right? Like he has been known to be really good around Toowoomba. It could be, but it could be the thing that sort of, kicks him back into gear and, gets back into being up front more often now. So I don't know.
I think the answer lies in round 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? Obviously
after
next round is...
After 25 minutes of Appen first moto, we'll know if he's back in form.
Even halfway into the second moto it happened, right? Because, he might have a bad start, or something, get caught up in an accident, whatever. But, being outside of Queensland for the next round, and then there's there's a Victorian round, but then there's 2 Queenslands to finish. If the Queensland ones to finish are solid again, but those 2 in the middle aren't, I'm going to really be starting to question a few things, right?
Maybe he just doesn't deal with the cold weather of Victoria and South Australia.
Maybe, but he doesn't like travelling. I don't know. But so far there's a Queensland tendency, right? So we'll see how he goes. I want him the way he rode that Moto 2, awesome. We just want that more often, right? And he's obviously capable. So.
I know. I bet he wants that more.
Yeah, I bet he does too. So does his bank account.
Oh yeah, I bet, and so does the team and everyone. But no, I think Fergo, he'll always say that he's there to win. As every factory rider is. But he's made it very clear that he has not been, very happy with his results so far, and he's been pretty disappointed in what's going on. And so to finally get that win, I think he's kind of like, well, this is where I should be. This is where I'm going to be. And, I guess we'll see it happen. And I think it's more of that hard pack style track. He probably will suit him better. I guess we'll find out. But, that second moto was pretty impressive. He was wide open. He got the lead and he was hanging loose, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was heading for the front door. That was in a hurry, so he was going there. Yeah. No, it was impressive, but just obviously Moto 1, meh. But hopefully that's the kick in the direction he's looking for. So KTM mounted Dylan Walsh lands himself on the podium again, but I think listening to his post-race comments, what we were talking about the last show in terms of he's still learning Australian tracks and Australian, bike setups and KTM. I feel like he might have listened because I felt like he was a little bit more mellow in how he was receiving his results at that point because of those things. That he even mentioned it to some degree about learning the Aussie tracks. because again, Byron Dennis gave it to him in one of the motos and was showing him the way around the track. So
Yeah.
I'm sure Dylan's not stoked on it, but maybe this is just the year that he's got to take to then be where he wants to be next year after he's got a setup, knows the tracks, knows the formats, etc.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, you're exactly right. I think he has maybe made a little bit of a switch from being like, I'm going to come out, I'm going to win, like, you know, to I'm going to learn. And yes, obviously he wants to put in results and he still wants to win, right? But I think he is taking a little bit more of a learning year, and the tracks are so different here. I think people don't understand how different the tracks are here from America or from Europe, right? Like, they're tight. Their ruts don't form the same. They form with hooks in them. You know, nothing flows as well as it does overseas. So he's learning. And it was cool to hear him actually give big props to the team. Like, he was, like, you know, pretty stoked with the team and the work that they're doing. So that's cool to see. And, you know, he was obviously really paying respect to the team. So, you know, good on him for doing that.
Yeah, it's good to, like, I think it's good that as much as KTM lost a man that we're talking about earlier in Crawford, they are putting effort into having a name rider to try and be more competitive with the Honda and the Yamaha in Australian scene. KTM was that big. I felt like they dropped down a level in their commitment and their finances towards it for a little while there, but I feel like with Dylan being there, they're trying to build that back up. And then from what he said, like you said, about the team and the effort they're putting in, I feel like they're doing that. So good to see that he recognised it too, which is, it's always a good thing to see. So, it's building, right? What about that Ferguson and Birchall moment in the air, in that jump? How close did that come to absolute disaster?
Yeah, that was, like, it went so wrong, but it went so wrong for how wrong it went. The bike kind of moved the right way just at the right time, just to miss each other. Like, yeah, that could have been quite bad. I think there was in the MX3 actually. There was a big moment on that same Brown. Was it Brown and
Heath Davey?
Someone?
Yeah, Heath Davey on the Yamaha. So I'm not sure what's happened with Heath. I feel like I saw one of the competitors, Riley Burgess, who we've had on the show and is in our group chat actually, mentioned that he was get well soon. So obviously there's something there. I don't know for sure, but the other Brownlee got up and was okay apparently. So. But that was horrible looking too. Like, we had two pretty situations on some jumps this weekend. So
and that is like Toowoomba dirt when it's like tacky and ruddy like that. It's very grabby, right? Like, and you're coming down that sort of that hill, and it's going to G out at the bottom of those ruts, and it grabs you and shoots you, right? So that's obviously no one's fault. That's racing, and that's just how that track can form up. It's it was no good to see for sure.
No. Now, let's talk a couple of sort of in MX2, but it's going to cross over a little bit here. Some riders and teams doing this, and for the audio only people that are listening later, it's a split, right? Like, I read today, Ryan Alex Anderson left JPM Kawasaki. Reed Taylor turns up at Toowoomba, not with T-Dub Husky. He's on a privateer Honda. Cody Olone turned up. He's not on a Beta. He's on a Yamaha. We've already had the Crawford, not on the KTM, on the Honda this year. What is going on, mate?
No one's happy, are they?
They're all just bloody, I've got to get out of here.
They're like a crazy ex-girlfriend that's never happy. I don't know. I think they're all, yes, they've all obviously split, like as the riders you mentioned, but I think they're all individual different situations, right? So I don't know exactly what's going on, and I don't know anyone really would other than the people in it. But I know, like, the Reed Taylor to the Honda thing, I didn't even know about it until I watched the telecast, like until I watched it on TV, and usually I hear these things. And then, Hogs and didn't even know about it until they saw it on the TV, right?
And they made a weird comment, like they sort of knew something, but then they didn't. I'm like, guys, either say something or don't say something, right? You you walked on right along the fence line there.
Don't even get me started, right? Like, yes, it sucks that these riders are splitting from teams and, there's probably contracts involved. I understand that sucks. But if you're a viewer, right, and you don't necessarily know too much about these teams or about these riders, that is the sort of stuff that you need to probably make a point of, or go into a little bit more detail to keep people interested, or to be like, oh wow, like he's swapped from a manufacturer to this other manufacturer and he's still up the front, and oh my gosh, like we should probably touch on that stuff a little bit more to make it a little more interesting, right?
There's ways to say that and be politically correct and not offend either side, and just say basically the team and the rider decided that it wasn't going in the right direction and they've mutually split, or they've, even if you leave out the mutually, they've split, and here he is, he's decided a Honda is the bike for him for this round, and look at this, he's up the front, right? Like, how hard was that?
Yeah, I know. And right, like this goes back to it's a whole, probably whole 2-hour podcast we could say on things about the Nationals or what's going on. But goes back to Saturday. Everyone's at the track on Saturday. Everyone's bikes are at the track on Saturday. Everyone has, or the teams have their bikes out, prepping their bikes. Surely they would have seen, retailer's bike's not under the tent. What's going on? Maybe let's go investigate and get a little bit of information, right? But I don't know. Maybe that's just, just a bit of journalism, maybe, just maybe, I don't know.
Well, I didn't see anything about that. You said you never saw nothing about it. I've messaged Reed since the issue, like, because I had him on the show before. I didn't even think to message him beforehand and ask how things are doing, right? I don't do that to everybody. I do each round. I sort of, before and after it, I'll select a couple of people and be like, right, I'm going to try and follow up these guys to get some info, just generally, and that's enough, right? But yeah, I messaged him and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm doing this. I'm doing private to Honda at least for the end of the motocross. And I'm like, all right, I'll talk to you in private later on. But, this is obviously something happened. It kind of makes me wonder about a certain other rider we've talked a little bit about through this one doing double duty, who was with that same team before Reed got this ride. He's no longer with that team either. The only man that stayed there is the guy that owns the team so far. So it's not a great...
and he did pretty good, to be honest.
He did really good, Todd Waters. So he did a really good ride. So obviously there's nothing wrong from his side, but maybe the 250 program isn't as great, or just doesn't fit with the guys with where they're living or something. I don't know.
I think it's hard, right? 250 teams, you need such a massive budget, right? These guys are going through motors, clutches every week, second week, right? Like, so that stuff adds up. And I just don't think here in Australia, bar Yamaha, maybe KTM, Honda, right? Here's a 250 team. You can ride a bike every single day, and we will support that every single day. I don't think we have that here in Australia. So these riders are probably having to, and this is just me speculating and knowing sort of how it all works with 250, riders are probably having to back off of their riding a little bit to save on budget, to not blow up bikes, to not go through equipment, just to help the team to get to the races, right? And as a racer, that's not ideal. You don't want to be giving up ride time. So I think that could be a case, right? You're not being able to ride enough, budgets and all this other stuff in between.
Yeah, I think what you said, I just agree with. I'm not going to add to it because it's basically what's going on. So it's not great. It is what it is. It's just the team movement this year has been a bit out of control, at least for the first half of the season. So let's see what happens.
It should keep people interested, right? We should be commenting on it. We should be making that known, right? And we don't have to blow anyone out by doing it, but we should be making this known to keep it interesting, because to be honest, the Nationals is kind of boring, right? Like, unless there's these stories in between everything that's going on.
Well, that is what makes you interested and to tune in the next time and see how said rider who left is doing on the new ride. It gives you a reason to tune in. So I'm with you. We need to tell this story, and hence why we're talking about it. It's one of my main things I wrote down as I wanted to cover. I thought it was interesting. I don't know why other people aren't sort of, especially the TV, that comment, Hammy and Hogs, guys, come on, say something.
Come on. Look, I've known Hammy and Hogs for a very long time. I get along with them great. But I was the same. I was like, I heard, and I'm just like, just say something. Just say anything. Just say it. Don't just skim over it, and everyone's sitting there like, what happened? Like,
well, and you could tell, like, I could tell when they were doing it, like, they're obviously sitting in a booth next to each other. They're both looking at each other, probably going, like, with their teeth, like, you know, like, just,
anyway. Biting their tongue, is what it is. So.
All right, let's move in the MX3.
So maybe we need, like, a behind-the-scenes independent reality TV show filmer who's not a part of that MX Nationals as such to capture all this, right? Imagine the content that would be.
Can you imagine him getting like just fully censored off the internet after the first episode, right? Like,
just getting completely banned from every single Nationals event ever.
Yeah, like all these team managers just coming after him, and you know, or her, and you know, it's a great idea in theory. I don't know how long that person would last.
It's got to take a special person, that's for sure.
Yeah. No. All right, MX3. I've got to say, this class is the most interesting class. I think I say this every time I bring up MX3. It's the most interesting of the weekend for a few different reasons, but the main one is we keep getting different winners through the first 4 rounds. We've had Devson, we've had Draper, we had Fuller, and we've had Downey.
Fisher.
Sorry, not Fuller. Fisher. Fuller's been close, but Fisher. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. I think round 5 there'll be another one because I feel like it's going to suit. There's 2 or 3 other guys that I feel like they could surprise there because these guys seem to be having these good results on familiar tracks or familiar surfaces at least, and that's where these results for the wins are coming from. Why not? Let's just carry it on. I think round 5 and 6 could be the similar, but I think round 6 is where we're going to see starts either then or the one after. We're going to see the repeat winner finally.
Yeah, just watching the highlight package from MX3 was like interesting. There was like guys going down everywhere, like we mentioned, obviously with Cade, that slosh pile. There's rides going down there. There's rides going down after the skyline. Like it was intense, and then obviously to come away with a first-time winner, and not only a first-time winner, he just went and goes 1-1 and dominates.
Smashed him.
Like, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, just goes and handles business like he's done it 10 times before. So, it's chaos, right? But it's like we don't expect. Well, we expect it, but then it happens, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's happened again, right? Like it's exciting. It's exciting. I don't even know much, to be honest. I don't even know much about Downey. Like, you know, I haven't heard much about him.
I haven't heard much about him either. I messaged him to say congratulations and dude, I want to catch up and find out a bit about you at Appen because I don't really know too much other than you've done a couple of things from Supercross and stuff last year, but like you just, again, I said this about last round's winner, but this one, it's their announcement day. Like this is their I'm here in pro motocross sort of thing. Like they just made a massive statement that you kind of have to say kind of out of nowhere too, right? Like
well, I mean, if you look at the first 3 rounds, like, you know, I could be wrong. He hasn't had a podium, right?
I was just gonna try and check that because I don't think
Maybe. I could be wrong, but the only thing that I really know is I think that it's come at a perfect time for him because I think he is maybe last year MX3 potentially. So I think he is a little bit older in the class, right? So for him, perfect timing. Like get some wins this season and open some eyes and then go in the MX2 class and get a ride, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect timing. So but no, I just looked. He definitely hasn't had an overall podium through the first 3. So maybe there was a moto in that, but I don't recall. And sorry if there was, but look, to go 1-1 sort of out of the blue, damn. Damn. Anyway,
and I think he is a Queenslander, so like, you know, feeling good at home or, you know, close to home all adds up, and then to go and do that. But these are the sort of things for young kids, right? That's all it takes to then
turn into something. But that's why I said the first 4 rounds have been sort of either location or surface related good results for these guys. So, but hey, take advantage of it. Get the name up in lights, as they say, and yeah, hopefully it turns into something for him. And he's just got to then back this up. And that's what I've been waiting for for all these guys. They've all got to back it up somehow. At the moment, the only one really doing that is Hayden Draper, and even his results, as much as he's leading and he's got a little gap on the field in terms of the championship, his results, other than the first two, have been a little bit inconsistent since then. Like, they've been okay, but not like solid, 2 3s 1s in the motos. So
yeah. Well, Draper has been. I feel like he's obviously extended his points lead, right? Even throughout, but he's just been scrapping every weekend for, to get on the podiums, and he's doing what he needs to do, right, to just scrap and fight and claw even through bad weekends, which is what you need to do to win these championships. But I feel like even though he's got a points lead, I feel like he needs to get a moto win to sort of settle everything and sort of stamp it a little bit, and then be like, all right, I'm the man again.
Put some domination back on it, and put some he's, like you were saying, he sort of looked a bit ragged. Just put some calmness back into the fact that, yes, I am in control of what's going on right now. So yeah,
exactly.
Another note, we talked about him last time at Gilman, but Seth Morrow, his end of moto speed is next level. He obviously is fit and obviously capable. I wonder what he's going to do when he finally gets a decent start.
Well, I mean, I think he even had a crash, like a pretty decent crash in one of the motos on the weekend too, and got up and still charged back through.
Yes.
Right? So, so he's fit, he's strong, like and he has been building all season, right? He's a rider that didn't necessarily maybe start off peaking, right? But he's sort of just every weekend he's been getting better and better and better. And I sort of seen this coming, at Gilman. I think he was close, and then, he's come here and done well. So another Kiwi lad, like we sort of, this MX3 class does, I don't know why, this MX3 class very often, I mean, even from when I was racing, Kiwis just dominate this MX3 class very often. I don't know what it is. Yeah, got some good young riders.
Look, they're obviously it's fitting into the window for them too to come over as well. So, just fits for them. Whether the surfaces are working, they ride. I don't know if you've been over New Zealand. I haven't been over, but you just watch the surfaces that they're riding on at times, and like they're obviously working in difficult conditions at times too with the weather, and it's softer and stuff. I don't know. I feel like the young kids, they get a good setting, and this is just a good time that they come over for. So it obviously just works for whatever reason. So
I think they're right over there. They, like, everyone sort of thinks of New Zealand muddy very often, which potentially is muddy quite often, but their tracks may be on the little less manicured than what we get here maybe, so they're out there moto and on things that aren't perfect, so they get to these tracks like Toowoomba and they're like, yeah, cool, no worries, like it's another day.
Easy.
Exactly.
Right, I think that's enough. Unless there's anything else you want to cover at Toowoomba, I'm going to go into the regular other segments in the show. But have you got anything else? Because I think I'm done with it for now.
I'm pretty good on it. We've spoken about pretty much everything. The first turn needs to change, in my opinion.
Wow, that definitely does. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, like even just do a 180 U-turn, change the track layout a little bit. It's been the same forever, and it's been sketchy forever. But that's my final.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. Something like, I've never been there, but it looks bad from the TV. I'd hate to be the one sending it in there.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's very scary. But
Anyway, all right. Good round for the Aussie round, at least. Obviously, Appen is coming up, round 5 in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about what date that is later in the next segments of the upcoming events. Well done to the winners there. Obviously, beaten Cade Kingsford and Hayden Downey. So well done for you guys across that. Special mention, actually, I forgot this one. Special mention, championship wrapped up for the 85cc. Blake Bohannon. Perfect season essentially, but there was only a short season for them. But kid can ride. I believe from his posting, his next sort of major thing that he's going to do, one, obviously he's going to state titles this weekend, but in terms of events where he's going to get challenged, he's down for the Junior Worlds, which I believe is Czech Republic on July 5th and 6th. So not too far away for him for that. So be keen to see how he performs at that one. And I assume he's going to be very much at the front in that as well when he gets there. So be interested to see how he goes with that, because that will be a bunch of people more at his level.
It will be, but he is very impressive, isn't he? Like he's done some overseas races. He did the MXON, the 85 race that they had, and I think he got on the podium or something. Like
he did. Yeah,
he's pretty impressive, right? He's very, very beyond his years the way he rides motocross and supercross. So yeah, I'm excited to see how he goes at Worlds. I think it could go pretty well for him.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Did you see too? I think it was his dad posted it on his channel, like on Blake's controlled social account. But he got exemption for, I think it's from round 5 onwards, to do MX3.
Oh, I did see. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I did see that.
I don't expect him to come out and win, because I don't think he's spent heaps of time on a 250, or if he's going to go out there on the 125. But I think that's a great step for him to be challenged and to see the pace that is required in the next year or two for him. So he's obviously too young, because I think that's what it said on it, was that he was age exempt, because I think he's still 13. You need to be 14 if I'm remembering correctly. So he got that exemption. Thank you to whoever it was that was smart enough to grant that, because he's more than capable of that. Let's see where he goes, because I think that's a good step. I mean, that's exactly why they changed the rule to 14, right? Is to get these kids up and racing and developing earlier, right? So that'll be exciting. I think I saw that post as well, and he kind of was saying, do I do it on the 125 or 250? So either way, it'll be cool to see him in that class. I'll see what info I can sneak out of him this weekend at the state title round when I get down there. I want to ask that one for sure. So I'll see what I can find out for next time round. All good. All right, let's go. We're going to do Dave's diatribe next. Oh, and why did that not play? That's not right. What happened there? Oh, wait, hold on. This is Dave's diatribe. What's a diatribe? A diatribe is a forceful and bitter attack against someone or something. So keep your head down. You might be next. I didn't have one until just then when that didn't come on. And you know what it is? I hate technology. But I've got so many gadgets and gizmos to run this damn show. It's insane. But I was cleaning the house the other day, and I'm like, I have to vacuum everything, and they got the podcast deck with all the dials to adjust people's volumes and whatnot, and they all go to 0. And I remember to move mine and yours back up to get the audio playing. I forgot to light the... God damn it. Nice. So I always manage to make myself on this thing look like an idiot with the production process. So anyway, that's mine. I suck at that. I believe you've got one, Bart. So what have you got this time?
I do. I do. I have kind of a little bit of a two-parter. Number one is, can we, as a ProMX, rip to retro round? Because what are we doing? Toowoomba has always been retro round, or they've done a cool retro round or something, and makes it fun and exciting and just something to look forward to. Teams do cool graphics, riders wear old gear or walk around in old gear or whatever it is. It's just brings a cool vibe, right? It brings something different to the series, and I just think that is what we need. The AusProMX series is getting a little stale, right? It's a little bit of a rinse and repeat kind of setup. We need these things. We need retro round. Let's do an army round. Let's, like they see it in the States. Let's do these things. We used to do the breast cancer awareness round. Like, let's do these things and bring them back and bring some excitement back to the series. Like, what are we doing?
I like that idea. The only thing I'll say about that, and from talking to everybody across, especially this year, I've had a few people change my mind on a couple of things from a rider's point of view and just a cost point of view. Now, for the teams, who cares? They can pay it.
Yeah.
For everybody else, it's a little bit difficult, but you can make a different, like you said, maybe you just wear some old gear around the pits, and it's not necessarily that you have to then change a kit on the bike or get special gear made. You can do an effort elsewhere. You can make your mechanic wear an afro or something, right? Like, do something to dress up in a period and do it. I think it's great. I think the retro one's not necessarily targeted, but the breast cancer awareness or any of those, you know, Jeans for Jeans, bloody blue ribbon for the coppers, the whatever, any of those sorts of foundations where they've got maybe a color or a theme that goes with it. Let's get them in and support that through doing something like what you're saying, and make it not every round, but like, you know, do a 2 or 3 a year, right? Like that you do two in motocross and one in supercross or something, to try and bring in other people to view the sport too, because it's a growth thing too.
Exactly right. You know, and sort of the rant is not necessarily based at the riders, because it comes from a series point of view doing these things, right? The series are going to do it, so the riders are going to sort of follow along. And look, 80% of riders that are going to nationals are probably putting on new graphics every round anyway.
Yeah,
so
probably right.
To print a different coloured graphic is not that hard, right? To do a retro kit or to do a pink kit or a blue kit, it's not that hard. They're doing new kits anyway. So let's bring it in, right? And that comes from the top, right? That comes from AusProMX as the whoever's in control. They say, let's do this at this round, let's do this at this round, let's advertise it, because you know, people need to get excited about going these races. We need something there. And even for Gilman here, I went to a local motorbike shop the week of the national, and they were like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? I said, oh, I'm going out to Gilman National. And I said, oh, really? We didn't even know it was on.
Yeah, that shits me to no end, actually.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, if, you know, and if they've got a special round, retro, breast cancer, whatever, then they can put it out there. They can do these flyers. It's all on social media. It's all posted everywhere. Like, it's not really that hard just to do something other than what we've just been doing for bloody 20 years, right? Like, it needs to, something needs to change.
And that local shop bit always drives me mental, because at worst they can at least go there and say, hey, the event's on, put this poster in your thing. Do you want to sell tickets as a reseller for us, or help resell them, right? At best they can go, right, because they've got all the different manufacturers supporting the series on some level. Yes, some more than others. So it doesn't really matter if it's the local Cowie deal or local Yamaha deal, local KTM, whoever, right? They can all go in there and go, hey, how about you come and do a store there? Or we come and do a fan night. We'll bring out 2 riders to your store on Thursday, and we'll do 2 to the different store that's just down the road from another team on the same night, and make it a thing. None of that stuff seems to happen anymore. So
no. And it does more so with Supercross. You see these sort of activations and rider meet and greets, and, you know, a little bit more official stuff like that. And I think that's why Supercross is growing a little bit, right? But the motocross is just sort of, I think, is very stale. And that could be me being in it for so long, I'm kind of just sort of numb to it. Like, it doesn't really excite me. Or it could just be it actually is a bit stale and needs a bit of an update or a facelift.
Well, the other part of it too is, and I might have been in this too long, but I used to go into a bike shop when I was a kid, and the guys behind the counter, guys and girls, were all into the racing scene. They either were racing themselves, or they knew who was racing and they were going to the race, so they knew the race was on. Now you go in, and no offense to some of the staff, because some of them are still that way, but in some of the bigger, more retail-y ones, those guys and girls that are working in there are just retail workers. They're not necessarily moto enthusiasts, so they wouldn't know what was on the weekend from any motorsport, you know? Yeah. Well, that is exactly right. Like, I'm lucky enough now that I have support from some great companies. I don't necessarily need to go into motorbike shops anymore, but sometimes I do. And I'm like, if someone comes to help me, I'm like, honestly, probably, like, I can do this. Like, it's fine. I probably know more about it than you, right? Like, they probably don't even know a Yamaha from a KTM. Like, it is just a job. And that's fair. Everyone needs a job. But, like, if you're going to work in the industry, probably just put in
a little bit of effort to research a little bit, right?
Just a little.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just it's just a little. It's just a little. But I mean, also too, like me being that whole, like I was a '90s baby. Moto was huge in the '90s, early 2000s. I feel like it was just I had that excitement factor about it. Back then. I feel like that has been lost a little bit somewhere over the last little while. So don't know what it takes, but yeah.
We're all ideas. We're not through follow through at this point, right? So that's part one. Yeah. Is that was part two built into that already?
No. So the second part is it's kind of a silly thing, but it was just I watched it on the weekend. Now you might have picked up on it, but when the riders would finish their race and they would go into the little podium area that they have fenced off. Did you see how bloody tight all those three stands were, and not one rider knew where the heck to go? What are we doing here?
How hard was that they set that up? The guy couldn't ride behind it, couldn't get the bike in. There was those barrels next to the stands, and how do you put your bike past it to lift it on? What are we doing?
Right? Just put the bike somewhere else? The bike, the mechanics hold it or whatever. You could see, Hayden down, he's trying to figure out where the heck his bike goes, and I'm sure he just wants to go high five his family, but he's like, where do I put my bike? What do I do here? It was oh man, I know it's simple things, but can we just sort that out a little bit, right?
It's one I've said this one before at the similar sort of point about the podium bit. It's more the American one, but you know how they do the interview, and especially after the heat races in Supercross, they'll have them ride in and they're still sitting on the bike, right?
On the bike.
And so they'll get the team guy will give them the hat and the towel and the goggles and the can. And they'll do the interview and they'll be like, yeah, holding the Red Bull or the Monster. And then they'll finish the interview, but they don't cut from that person. So then you see him take the hat off and hand the can back to the guy. I'm like, wait another 20 seconds, guys, holding on to it so they don't see you just chuck the stuff away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in the States and in MXGP, the riders will finish their race. They'll have an area behind the podium to debrief, to drink, have a drink. Mechanic grabs a bike. Bikes stay back there. They walk out on the podium, get their interviews done. Bikes come out after all that, get photos, happy days, right? Like that. I know it's so simple, but it just looked on TV. It just looked very unorganized and very kind of backyard job.
But how hard would it be for them to make them do exactly that? Ride in behind the podium bit there.
Yeah, I know.
Let the mechanics and stuff grab the bike, and they just walk back out when they're ready for that TV interview part. They went to a break, I'm pretty sure, after the race before they started bringing them up to the interview. So go and park elsewhere. Keep it out of sight. Keep it clean and easy.
Yeah, and also too, they have to have such a big area because of our riders ride into that area, right? They ride in, so they have to have this area. It's 15 meters from the fence to the podium. Yeah. Where if you didn't have to have bikes in there, if they didn't ride in there, you could have the fence way closer to the podium.
Bring the people in.
Could be right there on the podium, right underneath the guy that won the race. In just that little bit could be a bit of a vibe. Riders could throw goggles. People are there. It's just simple little things. I just caught it on TV and I saw it a few times and I just sat there and laughed. I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, that and your mate that you said you did some commentating with last time, Trent, who's doing the interviews. I hate how all you get is his arm showing in the screen. Right?
I know. So me and Trent had a chat about this because unfortunately that wasn't his call. He's getting calls from higher up.
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not for it. I know, because he wants to. It's so much better when you can be face to face with a rider and the commentator or interviewer, because it doesn't look so awkward. Because the riders don't know. Do I look at the camera?
Yeah, exactly. Which one do I look at?
Do I look at who? When it's two people and so. Yeah, I've had a chat because I exactly the same. I was like, it looks ridiculous. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
All right. I think we've had enough.
I know. I don't know. I know we shouldn't copy exactly what America does and exactly what MXGP does. We got to do our own thing a little bit, but pick and choose.
Take some of the good ideas and use the good
Yeah.
ideas and build on that, right? That'd be the go. Anyway,
But anyway, that's just my little rant. There you go.
No, perfect. I love it because I was struggling. Like I said, until I had that issue with the button, I was out on a diatribe for the night. So anyway, we got there. All right, let's roll into a quick product inspection highlight, and I got to do this one because it's actually fantastic. I got this thing. And this is to go with this. It's actually a quad lock desk mount. Now, everyone with quad lock stuff out there on their motorcycle handlebars and stuff obviously know what quad lock is, but to get the desk mount and be able to charge my phone wirelessly through the quad lock case onto that mount while I'm working, and I'm sitting here and I would have it on it right now, but because I had to hand it up and show it, I didn't have the phone on it. But it's awesome. So if anyone's out there needing quad lock stuff, get on their site and get the quad lock bits and pieces, but make sure in the notes when you're purchasing, type in AlwaysMoto, because we're working on something there with them. So just help us out by put the quad lock, put AlwaysMoto in those notes, or send me the copy of part of your invoice if you can do something like screenshot part of it, because I can send it to them. We're working on something there. So, but
That's a great product. It's actually funny that's the product that you showed, because this whole time I've got my phone on this janky tripod stand, right? And I've been watching my battery level just slowly go down, and I'm like, well, I really hope I get to the end of this podcast right now. So that's a great product.
It charges while it's on the show normally, but I've taken it off this one. It's sitting on the desk now with my phone by itself, just so I could show that. But we maybe need to get you one of them. So, but wireless charging, plug in everything. So quad lock, doing the good stuff. All right, let's go to events coming up. So this is brought to you by Fun and Web Filters, because you're going to need a clean filter in your bike to go to a new event this weekend or next weekend.
Yep.
AMA MX Round 1 Parlour this weekend. It kicks off. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong in the 450 class. I don't know what to do or say about it other than just sit down, put the popcorn in the microwave, get a drink, and just sit back and probably light a cigarette and enjoy it, right?
I feel like the more you talk about it, the more confused, angry, upset, just not sure what's going to happen you're going to get. So just shut up and just watch it.
Just watch it and see what happens. I was going to do like a preview for it and everything, and I'm like, you know what? Everyone's just saying stuff that makes no sense. Let's just talk about what happened after round 1. I think that's a safe bet at this point, because I've got a few thoughts about things. I don't know if they're true or not. Let's just see what happens. But AMA this weekend. Yeah. It's at Parlour. It's going to kick off.
It's funny you say that, like, because I'm the same. Usually I'm all on preview pods, like I'm listening, I'm plugged in. Honestly, I've been so not listening to them, because it's like, I imagine that this is like the equivalent for a rider, say Chase Sexton getting spun out with his bike set up, is these podcasters are getting spun out with this whole preview, and it's just like, I'm done. I just want to watch. I just want to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I listened to 1. I would normally listen to 3. I've listened to 1 and got partway through both, like the 450 and 250, and I went, they have no idea. And like, honestly, like they're just spinning stuff for content reasons now. They've got sponsors on the show. We all have sponsors on shows and stuff. Let's just watch it, and we'll talk about it afterwards, because I think that's going to be more interesting, what happened and then where it can go after that. So we'll worry about that next week, right?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, just sit and watch.
Yeah. Well, also this weekend it's going to be Sunday morning, our time will be Parlour. Sunday evening, I believe, or Monday morning will be MXGP Round 9 at Germany. It's going to be Tuschental. So Round 9 of that MXGP is kicking off on this Sunday, or Sunday night, or Monday morning, or depending on time zones there. I haven't looked that one up. State titles, New South Wales state titles, round 4 in Bega this weekend as well. So busy weekend from a few different points. There'll be live streaming. I'll be doing the commentating on that one as well. So there's 3 different, there's AMA, there's MXGP and state titles to watch if you need to be watching some moto riding this weekend. Plenty of action there. But then there's a couple of week gap. AusProMX is going to be back round 5 at Appen, June 14. That's the next one in our calendar. So we've got about a 3-week gap, I think that works out. The following weekend, June 20th, 21st, Australian Enduro Championship is going to be in Casterton in Victoria. Excuse me. Then we're going to go to round 4, Sunny States, Toowoomba, June 21st as well. Hard Enduro was on the weekend. Ruben Chadwick got the win there on the beater. I'm just choking up here. It's all good at the end of the show. It's been talking too long. We're over 2 hours, which is amazing. But Ruben Chadwick got the win in the hard enduro scene down there at the Marumba Madness. But I don't know where this one is. It's dead something, but it's called something D then Dead Zone. So I'm just going to go with is it the Dead Zone for round for the next round, and that's June 27, 28. So there's big June coming up for events wise, and obviously all the AMA rounds are happening through that, MXGP rounds as well. So plenty of racing coming up here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, busy. I mean, if you're into moto, then June's the month, right? There's a bit going on, so it's hard because it's like Supercross finishes in America, and then even though there's other stuff going on, it just feels like there's nothing going on, right? Because Supercross is this
Supercross is over.
In the States. It's like this huge thing. It's like Supercross is over, it's all done. And then motocross kicks off, and then it's like, it's all back on. But actually, we've always still been doing stuff. It's just, it's plenty going on if you actually look for it.
Well, the only thing I don't like about when the motocross starts is that I go from having like the ability to maybe 2 hours to catch up and watch the AMA to then it's like 3 to 4 to watch the national as such if you want to watch the full motos and not just highlight packages. So it's a lot more time goes into it.
Motocross, you got to lock in for that 4 hours. It's a big day, but it's a good day.
Yeah, no, it's well worth it, but just different commitment levels at that point. What have you got going on? Have you got anything coming up in the next few weeks, or nothing out of the ordinary?
We have SA Off-Road. First round is, I think it's next weekend, I believe.
Okay.
Possibly in Renmark. I'm not a huge enduro guy, so that's what I've heard. And then we don't have another state title for a month or so, so we're pretty spaced out here. It's pretty chill here, so not a lot going on here, just some practice days here and there, and that's about it, really. Yeah,
well, you have to get the cowie out somewhere and get it dirty, so you can figure that out in between.
She'll be on track again I might actually even jump in on my own session on Thursday with my crew who moto down, so might even try and jump in with the young boys and see if I can still hang with them.
Well, you can update us on that afterwards if you did or you didn't, and maybe if you didn't, you might not want to tell us. So.
If I didn't, you won't hear about it.
Never happened.
Never.
No, all good. Well, just on a quick little update on a few things that I've put out for Full Noise. There is a couple of more of the WR250 from Yamaha Motor Australia articles / links to some videos that are up on fullnoise.com.au. So go and check that out if you're a reading type / want to watch the video as well. But otherwise, it's all on the YouTube channel. We're going to have a few more things with the Yamaha. We've got to prove that we're going to keep it until much later in the year. We'll have to wait and see when the 27 models come out, and then we'll be having to hand it back. So, we've got it for a few more weeks. So I've got a few more things to put together. We'll have it out on track, weather permitting, this weekend to do the track preview videos as well. So that'll be cool. I've never ridden Bega. I don't know if you've ridden down there, Elijah, but
no.
It's a new track for me to visit and find out, and I'll have to figure out the fast way around the track in a lap so that I don't look like a squid, So that'll be fun with cameras rolling the whole time.
Perfect, easy.
Yep, definitely. Well, mate, appreciate it. That's pretty much the end. You got anything else you need to wrap up or cover before we get out of this thing?
No. SA State Title Downhill Series starts this weekend, and I'm a non-entry, so
what?
Can't back up my performance. Yeah, I got lots on. Got busy. My bike's got flat tires. I just couldn't do it. So
all I hear is excuses.
Tires, you know what? It's going to rain, and I don't want to be out in the rain, so that's my excuse.
Fair call.
All sorted, mate. All sorted. Another week done. Looking forward to Appen It's been awesome.
Yeah, well, I can't wait for it to happen, actually, because I'm going to actually be at one of the Aussie Nationals for a change. I haven't got to many in the recent years, so I'm going to actually be there in person, which will be cool. Hopefully the media application comes back through properly so we can be there officially. Otherwise, I'll just be still talking to people anyway, so that'll just be me. Yeah, looking forward to that. Commentating this weekend. Big weekend ahead, so plenty on. But that's it for the show. Thanks to Cade Kingsford for coming on. That was awesome to have him on. Appreciate your time as always, Elijah, mate. We'll get you on again very soon. Thanks for you out there listening and watching. Obviously, get these T-shirt orders in to info@alwaysmoto.com. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the community, subscribe to the podcast feed if you listen over there. Check out all the written articles over on fullnoise.com.au. But that's it for another show. Thanks to Technic Motorsport, Duramoose, Yamaha Motor Australia, Pivot Pegs, and Tech 167 3D Printing for the show support. Thanks to the wife and kids for letting me get this done. We'll say it again. Happy birthday to Ellie, the Mrs. Contractor. Ben will be back again soon, probably for the next show. Otherwise, that's it. We will see you at the track.